Hello, my friends, and welcome to the show. This is Macil Duncan, and I hope you guys are ready for a good Friday. We just had a wonderful time down at the Absent Food Pantry today. Went out and we went downtown, a team of us with some Gideons, and gave out these survival packets. I used to have some laying around here, but anyway, they have Bibles, toilet paper, water, um, you know, medical, and some hygiene items. And then we give them a time to pray and have some extra little Debbie's or snacks for them. And it's just a joy. It's sad, it's a joy, but it's every time I go down, there's always someone that triggers me. And there's a little lady named Yuma. Um, Miss Yuma is 65 years old, and she came up and told one of our ladies helping that hoped she had a happy Mother's Day and thanked us. And we get a lot of thank yous, but she goes, I just want to sincerely thank you for coming down and blessing us as much as you do with the food. And it was really, really nice. And so, Yuma, if you're listening, God bless you. And it was a joy. Down at the food pantry up here around the corner, we rent two grocery stores and give out food uh, every Monday and Friday. And today, it was unreal. They're wrapped around the building again. Before we even opened, there was probably 35 plus cars in line. And as we give out the food and pray with people, it's very humbling. So thank you guys that support us. If you want to give online, you can go to www.apposandbaptist.com. That's www.apposandbaptist.com. Well, a lot of folks are getting concerned about these weather warnings. The NOAA warning, severe geomagnetic storm forecast to hit Earth as early as today. Power grid blockouts, internet outages, and supercharged northern lights are possible. Now, this is in the Gateway Pundit here. G4 severe geometric storm forecast to impact Earth later today, according to the National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration. That's what the NOAA stands for, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. These alphabet agencies are numerous, but I just thought I'd throw that one at you. It says this marks the first time in nearly 2 decades that officials have warned such an event could occur. NOAA is what it's called, or pronounced, but the National Oceanic Atmosphere Administration decided to issue a watch for storm after forecasts observed multiple Earth-directed coronal mass ejections, which CMEs, earlier this week. And we'll talk about that with another article. As the Space Weather Prediction Center, the large expulsions of plasma and magnetized particles from the sun's corona, they can explode in size as they approach the Earth's surface and cause geometric storms upon arrival. So according to the SWPC, the parties ejected by the sun cause disruption in Earth's magnetosphere during the geomagnetic storm. The center notes powerful storms can even affect the Earth's ionosphere by adding energy in the form of heat. This heat can increase the density and the disruption of density in the upper atmosphere, causing extra drag on satellites in low Earth orbit. So, interesting stuff here. CBS News is noting the true strength of the storm will be known or won't be known till 8 p.m. Friday evening. So CBS News is reporting we will know by 8 p.m. tonight. When CME, and that just made block blue bloods, I'm telling you. Anyway, I'm a blue blood fan every Friday night. Sean Dahl, service coordinator at the Space Weather Prediction Center, said officials expect a big shock arrival when the CME hits Earth. As CBS News reported, the Dahl said with officials of other agencies predicting a G5 storm. So a lot of stuff, a lot of talk, a lot of people. Let's jump to another article here and see what you guys think. Let's see. I believe it was One American News. And One American News says massive baseball-sized hail slams Texas as more than 300 K across the South are left without power. So they're saying 300,000 people are without power right now because of some of this storm damage. So Texas saw the hail from a size of a baseball on Thursday. That would have been yesterday, as severe weather left 200,000 people without power, prompted a cleanup operation. Footage captured from Johnson City, Texas, showed gigantic hailstorms that were at least 5 inches in diameter, which is large enough to break an SUV rear window. One discovered hailstorm was estimated at 6.25 inches across, which would make the second largest hailstorm ever found in the state of Texas. So, Texas is not known for anything but heat a lot of times. So, for a hailstorm to break the atmosphere in Texas, with that heat. But anyway, since 1950, there's only been 4 verified hailstorms with 6 inches or more. The spokesman of the city of San Marcos said that they received reports of downed power lines and uprooted trees due to these storms on Thursday. The hail comes from severe thunderstorms and tornadoes wreaking havoc on the Midwest and throughout the Southeast this week. So you've got that, and then CNN put it this way, and see what you think. It's just interesting. Now, when you got the left and the right kind of singing from the same songbook, that's when you kind of need to say, okay, either this is very, very important or it's very much a distraction. And that's my, I hate to say it, my negativity. I don't believe the media. So CNN's singing their song this way. Magnetic clouds and flares from a sunstorm are hurling to Earth. This could impact power and communications. Now, I know exactly what the Q people are saying. It's finally happening. It's finally happening. We're going to have a shutout. They're going to show all the trials and all the tribunals and all the hangings and the doppelgangers and blah-blah-blah-blah-blah-blah. Chill, my friend. Chill out. How many times? I mean, I admire the Q people's tenacity to believe every fairy tale that comes down your path. Follow the rabbit hole. Where we go one, we go all. I understand all that. I've been to 4chan, 8chan. I understand that, and I do believe some of that stuff has some merit. But don't buy every sneeze that they blow at you. Geez, have some common sense. I know, I just made somebody mad. Boy, the Q people can get very angry. They're about as, they can get almost as angry as some others. They light me up, but understand this, Q people. You know I'm a patriot. I love you. But CNN, that's basically what they're announcing here. Magnetic clouds and flares from a sunstorm are hurling to Earth. This one could impact power and communications. So you got Newsmax, One America News, CNN. I didn't check Fox News because, if you check Newsmax, it's Newsmax is Fox Light. So that's kind of the way I see it. So interesting stuff here. How we doing on break time? Got a little bit of time. This is Friday, and I don't know about you. I love my country, and I love to give you new stuff when I get it, of course. And finally, some truth comes out in all these crazy trials. Do you guys remember the young lady in the Trump administration saying that Trump took command of the Beast, the car that drives, and that supposedly he outmanned superior trained Secret Service men 30 years his younger and in prime condition. Somehow he miraculously, with his superpowers, overpowered the driver and the security and tried to take the car and go. I can't remember. Anyway, here is Sweet Cheeks saying that a few months back, and now she's been proven wrong.
These people are crazy.
So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby.
This is Cassidy Hutchinson, former aide to Mark Meadows, under oath, mind you. Don't forget, if you perjure yourself, that's El Gel Arubu time, okay? This girl goes to jail, I bet.
Gotten into the vehicle with Bobby. He thought that they were going up to the Capitol, and when Bobby had relayed to him, we're not, we don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing. The president had very strong, a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
So she wasn't even there. Did you hear the word recanted the story to me? Well, that's not the way the Secret Service remember what happened. This lying little girl, don't know what she was paid. Kind of the same thing the Ford lady. Remember the Ford lady that claimed that Kavanaugh raped her? When did it happen? Well, I don't remember. Oh, really? Well, it was back in high school. We were in high school. Okay. Can you give us a date, a time? No. Can you give us a place? No. But he raped me. And then after all the charade was over, she said, well, I kind of made it up. Why were there no consequences for liars? If you're going to lie at the highest level of government, and hearing such as this, but you'll take a January 6th person that was in the Capitol with no violent video or nothing to prove. They were just in the Capitol, and some of them are spending 6 to 8 years in prison. It's not right.
And these are tough guys. You know, these Secret Service guys, I hate to admit it, they're slightly younger than me. Just slightly. It's very hard because, you know, you also have metal bars and a couple of things you have to get through. No, but didn't she say something like, I grabbed the guy at the wheel and grabbed him around the neck? And I was slightly rebuffed because I'm so strong. I could only be slightly. And then I grabbed the man on the right, who I think was a black belt in karate or something and like 30 years old. I grabbed the man on the right and I had, this is crazy stuff. I sat in the back. And you know what I did say? I said, I'd like to go down there because I see a lot of people walking down. They said, sir, it's better if you don't. I said, well, I'd like to. I'd better if you don't. All right, whatever you guys think is fine. That was the whole tone of the conversation. Instead, they'd be, I want to go down there.
I'm the effing president. Take me up to the Capitol now.
These people are crazy. And then I think she changed her testimony. You heard that because the people testified that none of this stuff happened. But a friend of mine said, you shouldn't fight that.
By the way, 6 witnesses said she was lying that was actually on scene. She was not there, and they tell her story like she's Moses coming off the mountain with some kind of epiphany from God. This is ridiculous. I'm glad Donald Trump has the guts to stand up to them.
Because I gained such respect. I didn't know that you were that strong and that tough, that you would take on a black belt in karate or whatever the hell he was. A very tough guy, I can tell you that. There were muscles all over the place, on his ears, on his neck. If I grabbed him around the neck, I'm not even sure he'd feel it. He might not feel it. No, these people are crazy.
Trump driver contradicts Casey Hutchins' story, and he says she is a liar. The driver said he did not see him reach redacted and never grabbed the steering wheel. I didn't even see him, lunge or anything. She's a liar. This was ABC News now reporting.
And she lied.
Cock shot.
Yeah, what do you do about that? People that lie, have you ever thought about this? Why do people get away with lying? Yesterday, by the way.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
Biden claims inflation was 9% when he came to office when it was 1.4%. That's a lie, sir.
It was 9% when I came to office.
You lie! Stop lying!
And that's the truth. Well, this is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. We're about to go to break. Don't turn that dial because we got some good stuff coming up. It is Friday on Destiny Media 96.9 FM and Street Level America. I'll be back.
The city of Denver cleared out 2 migrant encampments located near Denver International Airport under a bridge near train tracks Wednesday. The land is privately owned by railroad company Union Pacific. The Denver government petitioned for the migrants to move to city-run shelters funded by the city. But migrants staying at the encampments had previously sent a list of demands to Mayor Johnston, saying they would not leave until the city met their requirements. Some of the migrant demands included allowing migrants to cook their own food, access to showers without a time limit, regular doctor's visits with referrals to specialized care, housing and employment support, and transportation. Migrants also asked the city to provide free immigration lawyers, among other demands. A spokesperson for Denver Human Services told the local Fox affiliate, "At the end of the day, what we do not want is families on the streets of Denver." About 100 migrants accepted the city's offer to move to city shelters Wednesday, and those encampments were cleared out. It's unclear, though, if the migrants' demands were met. According to Mayor Johnson's office, Denver has served more than 40,000 migrants at a cost of more than $68 million in the last 17 months. And approximately half that cost, $35 million, was spent between December 2023 and March of this year. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Taylor. If you want more stories just like this, download the Straight Arrow News app.
Everything that Biden touch, boy, you know it turn to shit. Got clowns lining up for they 6 booster. Bad mean tweet, she gas Trump's moolah. Let's address the elephant in the room. The unvaccinated ain't dying, boy, and that's the proof. America's quarterback exposing the deep state. We know they rigged another one. Shout out to Carrie Lake. When you post the truth, they give you 30 days on Facebook. Liberals tagging Zuckerberg, crying, got their feelings hurt. When you lie to the government, they give you a felony. But they lie to us patriots, political enemies. Yo, it's time to unite, we gotta fight. Yo, it's time to unite. Your enemy is not halfway around the world. They locked us down, destroyed your business, forced a mask on us. Your enemy used the virus to divide all of us. Your enemy's white, black, and brown, it's time to unite. White power. Your enemy's white, black, and brown, just keep up the fight. Black power. Your enemy's white, black, and brown, we all alike. Power, your enemies here. Together we Americans. United we Americans. The media steady lying on Donald Trump. Uncle Trump. If Trump actually did all the things he's accused of doing, he could run as a Democrat. Trump Latino. Blacks for Trump. We're in these stand or I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
This is Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan, and we're back. Appreciate you guys and all that you're doing here on a Friday. What's going on for the weekend for you? I hope you are getting those Mother's Day gifts ready. I know I went and got my wife something very special at a store that she really, really wanted something from. And, of course, you know, you got to try. Guys, have you ever tried to do the little diversion tactic? She kind of knows what you got, but she's not sure. And I like to always have that smaller gift or that distraction gift. So she's second guessing, did he really get it or didn't he? And so I've got the plan A, B, and C in place. Operation Confuse Judy. And so what I will do is I'm going to give her a gift. If I tell you on the air, some of you might call and tell her. so I better not tell you the plan. But it's going to be wonderful. Hope you guys make plans for your Mother's Day. You know, there'll be a time when your mother will be gone, and you'll wish you had. So make the call, send the card, pay the visit, and let the mothers know they're appreciated, because it is a special time. Excuse me, there used to be a statistic that said, I think next to Christmas, Mother's Day is the largest Hallmark card. It outpassed Valentine's, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a big day for a lot of people. And here at Appleton Baptist Church at 10:30, we'll have a special celebration. All moms that come will get a special gift. And my wife picked it out, so it's not picked out from a dude. It's picked out from a lady. And it's something I think all ladies will like. And we work hard every Mother's Day to give the moms something special. And I hope you are celebrated and respected and appreciated. And I wish you well this weekend. Well, we got so much to talk about. Got some things in the news. We got some things that are developing. But let's go up here to the big screen here. You may be surprised, or maybe not, but evidently, now this is Newsmax, Operation or October 7th was managed and planned by Iran's Quds forces. Now you're saying, how do you know this? Well, an expert has done the homework. Hamas invasion and massacre in southern Israel last October was managed and planned by the current and former commanders of Iran's Quds force, according to U.S.-based Iran expert Dr. Hassan Hashman. In an interview with the Saudi news channel Ali Hadath on Wednesday, Hashman said, I believe that everything that happened on October 7th was managed and planned during the era of Qasem Soleimani. Okay? Soleimani was the former commander of the Quds force and the secretive foreign arm of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Okay? And until he was killed by the United States in 2020. His successor, Ismail Qazan, has been coordinating the attacks on Israel by Hamas. Iran's terror proxy is in Gaza. Hashman continued, the issue of the tunnels and the funds invested in the counter-construction, all the weapons accumulated by the Hamas, and even the planning of the operation itself were all conducted under Soleimani's tenure. But the implementation of itself was carried out by Ismail Qanmani, who was his successor. So it's pretty much trying to give you the Moses Joshua mentality. You know, Moses led them up to the promised land, and then Joshua was the one that took them in. And that maybe not a great biblical illustration, since these folks are not biblical, but I'm just trying to give you the idea of what you have here. So if you want to go to Newsmax and catch the whole story, but it's very interesting, and you got to look at this and say, it doesn't make sense that this just all happened. Just like all these uprisings on college campuses didn't just happen. It's not all of a sudden all these kids had a V8, slapped their forehead, and said, hi, let's all go live in a tent, poop in a bag, pee in a Gatorade jar, and protest. No, this was planned. The tents all match. The signs all match. The chants all match. All across, not just the country, but in other parts of the world. And it happens to be right before a presidential election. Hello, McFly, are you up there? Do you understand you're being misled? Hope you guys can see that. But anyway, other things to look at. Oh, my goodness. More than 24 House Democrats blast Biden holding back Israel military aid and said it emboldens Hamas terrorists. Again, I agree. And I cannot believe this many Democrats actually jumped ship. This is kind of a first. And again, I go back and give the credit to the mayor of New York, Mayor Adams. I don't agree with all his policies. I know that he and I probably, we sat down for a cup of coffee, we would probably find a lot we don't agree on. But the one thing I'll tell Mayor Adams, I appreciate a leading Democrat in this country saying that a flag of this country is the only flag that should be flown. And he also called out that they were trying, a global influence was trying to come in and take our kids and radicalize them. That was his term, radicalize them. And ever since Mayor Adams, the Democratic mayor of New York, took that stand, you started seeing a waffle among the Democrats, and it came all the way to the White House. For once, you saw somebody stand up in the Democratic Party for the good old red, white, and blue. Way to go, Mayor Adams, and I hope you live to see another day. And I said this, and I'll keep repeating it. Don't be too surprised if he's one of their 2028 nominees for president. If he can restructure New York and bring back almost like a Rudy Giuliani-esque type resurgence. Now, two things he would have to do. One, he would have to go against Alvin Bragg and Lolita James and condemn them for the witch hunt. He would have to distance himself from that very radical part of the Democrats. I don't know if he can do that, but I'm saying it would be a must if he did that. And secondly, if he actually went against the Governor Hochul, the other far left leader of the Democrats in New York, and put her on notice, he would gain a lot of the middle ground. Let's not fool ourselves. Now, I know Donald Trump said he believes he can win New York. It hasn't been won by a Republican in 34 years. I'm not that confident in that he can do that. Hey, but way to go. A swing for the fence. But I believe Mayor Adams, and there's other Democrats that I think Kennedy's also having a hand in. I think Robert F. Kennedy, if there's anything he's done, he's helped the Democrats realize you're going too far left. You need to come back center. I'm just saying. It just comes across to me that you're finally seeing some common sense. And right here, it says more than 24 Democrats, led by Representative Josh Gothmeier, told National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Friday they were deeply concerned about President Biden's decision to withhold military aid from Israel. Gothner, a Democrat from New Jersey, and 25 of his fellow lawmakers wrote in a letter to Sullivan, obtained by the Post, that withholding weapons shipments to Israel only emboldens our mutual enemies, including Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and Iran's backed proxies. I feel like I've been gone to a revival and they're being baptized in common sense. I'm telling you. This gives me a tad bit of hope. I'm not being completely stupid going off the cliff. I'm not saying I'm going to just jump in and say, way to go, Democrats completely. But to see them chipping away at that far progressive grip that the Clintons and the Obamas and some of them have held and stranglehold on this party, would it be great? Because I keep on either side of me, you may have noticed, I've got Ronald Reagan to my right. If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will become a nation gone under. And I've got on my left, John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Two of our most famous and patriotic presidents that I revere both very much. Now, I know some want to go off and say, whoa, Kennedy was a whoremonger, and then they'll say, whoa, Reagan was a mental patient. His last 2 years didn't even know his name. Don't believe everything you hear. Just don't believe everything you hear, okay? Be wise, my friend. So anyway, let's move on. How are we doing on time? Yes, about to go to a break. Before we do, I don't know if you heard this, but the Israel ambassador is angry because the UN Charter just voted to make Palestine a member of the UN. Isn't this interesting? They've worked hard to get the Ukraine, and now the Switzerland, who always was, the neutral, now all of a sudden Switzerland. Well, they actually want to be in NATO, excuse me. But to see them moving these world forces in, I don't know. We're about to go to a break here, and as we're getting ready for the break, I just want to remind you this is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan Show. And remember, I have a book called Move Your Mountains, and if you would check out my book, I would greatly appreciate it. It's got a lot of encouragement, some personal stories, as well as some biblical truths to help you along the way. I'll be back right after the break.
Non-citizens voting in U.S. elections. How big of a problem is it? The answer depends on who you ask. The two major political parties have two different conclusions, and news organizations with a political bias are covering the issue in very different ways. Back in the news this week is election security, as House Speaker Mike Johnson, alongside GOP lawmakers, unveiled a new proposal called the SAVE Act. It would require a person to provide proof of U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote in federal elections. Republicans argue it's to make elections more secure and to put in safeguards to ensure non-citizens can't vote. Those opposing the bill argue it's a non-issue because there's already laws in place that say it's illegal. And Democrats contend it's a bill to try and further fuel election fraud claims that were rampant after the last presidential election. The two sides stand in stark contrast, and that's made clear in recent headlines about non-citizen voting. News outlets with a left-leaning bias tie the SAVE Act to Trump, 2020, and portray the proposal as unnecessary. An Associated Press headline reads, "Non-citizen voting isn't an issue in federal elections regardless of conspiracy theories." Reuters says U.S. Republicans target non-citizen voting as Trump keeps up false voter fraud claims. And the Washington Post, the 2020 was stolen crew is here to stoke fears of non-citizen voters. News outlets with a right-leaning bias tie the SAVE Act to illegal immigration, bolstering the numbers of non-citizens, and portray non-citizen voting as a prevalent issue. The Federalist headline reads, "Republicans introduce SAVE Act to block illegal aliens from voting in U.S. elections." The Washington Times, "Non-citizens caught voting in U.S. elections. Here's how they did it." And Fox News, House GOP eyes election safeguards to block dangerously high number of illegal immigrants from voting. The headlines have a whiplash effect. Two very different takes on a controversial issue. Here's what we found through our own research on the topic. Is it already illegal for non-citizens to vote? Yes. The National Voter Registration Act requires a person to sign a document under penalty of perjury they are a U.S. citizen. And if they're caught lying about it, then they broke the law. Is there a federal system in place that verifies a voter is telling the truth? No. Is there proof of widespread voter fraud by non-citizens? No, but the data available is limited. A study by the Brennan Center, published in 2017 and conducted after the 2016 election, is widely cited in reports about non-citizen voting, including in the Associated Press and Reuters articles. The study found only a few dozen cases out of tens of millions of votes were potentially cast by non-citizens. But the study had limitations, not talked about in those news articles. It was conducted through phone interviews with election officials in 44 counties out of more than 3,000 in the U.S. The study says the numerical responses given by the officials could be inaccurate. And some of the election officials interviewed said the safeguards described were insufficient for preventing or identifying the registration of ineligible people. So in conclusion, the number of known instances of non-citizens voting is extremely low. The SAVE Act proposal, though igniting a divisive debate, is likely to go nowhere. It could likely pass the House, where Republicans have the majority, but would have slim chances to pass in the Democrat-controlled Senate, and almost a surety Biden wouldn't sign it. While lawmakers figure out whether to pass the law or not, where do Americans stand on showing ID at the polls? While lawmakers have taken a partisan stance, a Gallup poll, Rasmussen poll, and the Pew Research Center all found that 79 to 81% of Americans are in favor.
Did you hear that? Can we just beat that? Rewind it.
While lawmakers have taken a partisan stance, a Gallup poll, Rasmussen poll, and the Pew Research Center all found that 79 to 81% of Americans are in favor of requiring people to show a government-issued photo ID to vote. On the issue of proof of citizenship, a YouGov poll found 2/3 of Americans are in favor of it. I'm Kara Rucker. For more stories like this, you can download our Straight Arrow News mobile app.
Straight Arrow News. I don't know what you think. What I like about them, they're kind of right in the middle. They call it like they see it, like they say. They don't try to lean left or right. They just try to bring facts. Now, they may not always say it the way you want to, like they're saying that there's been no proof of voter fraud. Technically, that's true, but some of the proof has been hidden or the computers have been destroyed. So it all depends on how you slice the cake, whether you like the piece you get. So anyway, interesting stuff. Check out Straight Arrow News, see what you think. But with the election coming up, you've got to ask yourself, what will be the mind of the people? I believe a lot of people are going to want to vote, and I think early balloting has got a lot of people concerned, because all that does, it gives people that cheat a knowledge of how many are voting for one side or the other. My advice, show up on voting day. If at all possible, take the day off, pray, vote, pray again, go home, have a party for whoever you think is going to win. And even if your guy loses or gal, if you feel like, hey, I did all I could. See, we got upcoming elections locally, statewide, and stuff's coming up. Now, a good friend of mine, Chuck Flashman, sent me his flyer, and I happen to have it here in the studio, and I brought it up. Now, you know, when you're running for re-election, Congressman Chuck Flashman, combating inflation and cutting costs for Tennessee, for instance, voted for the Bipartisan Fiscal Responsibility Act. Okay, he supported the Lower Energy Cost Act, H.R. 1. He voted to keep the government open. He cut social spending. He rejected $100 million in funding requests by Biden administration. He voted to denounce harmful domestic energy policies by Biden administration. He supported the most significant federal permitting reforms in more than 40 years to speed up critical energy infrastructure projects like pipelines, lease sales, mining projects. So Congressman Flashman, some would say, you know, I'd like to know some of his accomplishments. I tell you what you do. Now, this is what I'm sharing this because what's going to happen. I got some listeners that don't like Chuck Flashman, and you let me know it because I tell you that he's a friend of mine. But let me tell you 3 reasons why Chuck's a friend of mine. Number 1, he's a fellow brother in Christ. Okay, so when you share something like that, you know. Secondly, Chuck helps me raise money to feed the hungry. Okay, every year he's one of those that helps me, and he tells folks that, you know, what we do, and he helps me raise money for the hungry. But the third thing, Chuck's never lied to me. I've called him and asked him, can you tell me what's going on? And he's been flat out honest, or his associate Dalton has been. So am I sure Chuck Flashman's probably disappointed? I'm sure he has. I mean, who hasn't? I'm a pastor. Let me tell you, when you get up to preach every Sunday, you know what a target you put on yourself? Every pastor out there knows what I'm talking about. When you stand up before a crowd of people, be it 2 or 2,000, there's always somebody that swears, he's talking, he's picking on me, and you have no idea what's going on. And or you have people that just don't like your style. They don't like this or they don't like that. You know, and then they become critics. And once someone becomes a critic, they can't hear you. You ever heard, I can't hear you? If you're not careful, someone like a Chuck Flashman that's running for re-election. Esther Helton, another friend of mine, she's running for re-election, okay? I'm just trying to think of some others off the top of my head. As these folks are running for re-election, it's easy for folks to say, hey, Esther is a former Democrat. The only reason she became a Republican because she couldn't win as a Democrat. Did she tell you that, or did you just make that up? Now think about it. Be wise. Don't be a gossipy person just because you've been disenfranchised or you gotten disappointed. If Chuck disappointed you, have the courtesy to call him. Have the courage to send an email or talk to his office and say, "Can I have an explanation?" Every time I've done that, Chuck has given me an explanation. He's been on the show a few times. And some of you say, why don't you have more political people on your show? I've had Cameron Sexton. I've had Marsha Blackburn. A lot of local politicians. But once you start having one, then they all kind of start hinting to be on your show. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to make this a GOP talking point show. That's not my desire at all. So where am I going with this? The election's coming up. And if you're not careful, you'll let other people tell you basically how to vote without praying and seeking and getting good information. And this is kind of personal, but I told you before, I was pulling for someone else for mayor. And I took it I think too personal, and I've offered an apology to our current mayor, Weston Wamp, for instance. And I never shook Weston's hand. I believe stuff about Weston. I believe now it was not true. Why? Because I let folks tell me in the heat of the moment, passion, hey, man, we're in an election. And you got to be careful about that. But let's just put that aside. Elections come and go. Okay, candidates come and go. I'll tell you one. I'm just spitballing. This was not planned today, so please. Dean Morehouse. Dean Morehouse is a great guy. He would make a great commissioner, but so is Jeff Eversole. They both ran in District 10. It's one of the closest races I've witnessed in my lifetime. It came down to, I think, just a few dozen votes that Jeff Eversole beat out Dean Morehouse. And I got to know, but I knew Jeff longer. I've known Jeff and Denise longer, so I supported, Jeff and Denise. But bottom line is, Dean Morehouse is a great guy. I hope Dean finds something that he wants to serve the community. I hope he finds something. But elections, it comes down to someone wins, someone loses. And if someone doesn't get in office, it doesn't make them like they can't win. Take Weston Wamp, for instance, kind of like Abraham Lincoln. He ran several times and didn't win. Okay? But you got to give him some credit. He didn't give up. It's in the blood. His dad was a successful politician. He's like, hey, I want to be like my dad. And he stuck with it, and now he's mayor, and he'll probably be an incumbent mayor probably 2 or 3 terms. I'm guessing, and I would see Weston going on to be possibly a senator or the governor. I mean, I could see that happening because he's that committed to politics, and that's his thing. You don't find many people that want to do that. Where are you getting at? If all we do is beat people up when they're in office and talk about them and berate them, then when one of our issues comes before their desk, listen to me. Listen. They're going to say, I would like to vote for that, but all these wackadoodles over here, all they do is give me grief and heartburn. If I support this, is this going to encourage them to bring more heartburn my way? Now, you got to balance that. Yeah, you've got to be able to talk about your issues. Yeah, you need to let them know when they've disappointed you. But be wise in the balance of this, my friends. That's just me. It's hard to find good, qualified people that will run for office these days. I've been asked to run 3 times. I was asked to run for school board, and I've been asked to run for the council for District 7. And there's no way I'm running against Lee Helton now. Lee is amazing for District 7. I think he's got a great, bright future as well. So that's a big no. And I think Schaefer's going to be the next school board for District 7. And I think she's going to be the next Rhonda Thurman. I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for. I'm just telling you that's my belief. But as you start thinking about these elections coming up, you've got to be praying. Get to know the candidates. Get to know the issues. Go to the Election Commission websites and see. They'll put sample ballots and stuff out there. Well, going to a break. I'll be back. It's a Friday.
to accuse them of something close to a crime. And I think that term should be carefully used.
Well, can I respond to that, Mr. Chairman?
When you get your, I'm going to recognize Senator Blackburn because I should have recognized her before you, and she has to go, and we have several others waiting. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do have an honor flight of veterans from Tennessee that are waiting for us at the memorial. Thank you for the hearing today, and to each of you for being here. Thank you for your time and your testimony. And Ms. Nobles, we're so grateful that you would be here. I know this is painful, and I appreciate that you are here. Mr. Chairman, I do wish that since H.R. 2, the border security bill from the House has been over here now right at a year, and we have not taken that bill up. I do wish that we would take that bill up so that we could stem the flow of illegal immigration coming into this country and then address some of these issues. I know that Senator Cornyn and Senator Graham talked a little bit about things that have been offered before. I know that President Trump, and recall that he had tried to get Speaker Pelosi at that time to work with him on a way to permanent residency for DACA enrollees, and that offer was rejected. But securing that border is important, and I was concerned about President Biden's announcement that he was going to offer Obamacare to everybody that is in the DACA program. Now, at this point, we have 85,000 illegal migrant children that HHS and the Office of Refugee Resettlement cannot find. They do not know where they are. They don't know if they are dead or alive. They don't know what has happened to these children. I've constantly asked Secretary Becerra about this, Secretary Mayorkas. They cannot find these children. They're not putting energy into that. But they think the right thing to do is go say, oh, let's give free health care, and then leave the border open, not secure the border, and ask the American taxpayer to pay for this when unemployment is at a 2-year high, foreign-born workers are coming into the workforce, taxpayers are struggling to make ends meet, but you want to talk about raising taxes and paying for a new program when you cannot manage what is in front of you.
That's Marsha Blackburn, the senator from Tennessee, and my hope is she'll be the replacement for Mr. Mitch McConnell. The campaign of Ditch Mitch has been enacted, as you probably know, and we're hoping that he will be gone. He's supposedly going to be gone after the election. He wanted to stay in place until the election of the president's over. That was a bad move. I think they should have got Jello Brain out quicker. I don't know who's slower right now, Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden. They both seem very cognitive challenged. They both have bought tons of stock in Depends, and I think it's just a shame that they are allowed to represent when they can't function. That means their votes and their influence is pretty much to the lackeys under them. So they're really not leading, and I don't think that's fair to the people. That's just my opinion. Moms for America, as you guys know, Maria Wagner's on every Wednesday, has a theme song that just got released. Let's check this out.
Some may say we don't have a prayer, 'cause there's a whole lot of crazy out there. They think we'll just take it, sit down and give up. They don't know a thing about us. Moms for America, united
That's Moms for America. If you guys want to check that out, you can go to the website, listen to the song, watch the music video. Moms for America is the strongest right now, I believe, ladies group in the nation for mama bears. There's also Moms for Liberty and some other good ones, but Moms for America, the thing that's hurt Moms for Liberty, let's be honest, one of their founding ladies got into the little bow chicka bow bow moment, wouldn't own up to the situation, made it worse and prolonged it. And I think a lot of us just lost the flavor and the ability to believe the message from the top down. And most of them have kind of gone into hiding. I don't hear from Moms for Liberty anymore. I think they're having to shake off the stuff they're going through, and it's understandable. They probably need to take a break and see what happens. But anyway, there's a lot of judges right now saying they don't want to hire kids that went to Columbia University, and there is actually a backlash for them. We'll see about that coming up. How are we doing on time? We're about to go to the 4 o'clock break. As we're about to go to the break, since we're Friday, I kind of like having music moments. There was a wonderful lady that went to be with the Lord. You probably remember her name is Mandisa. Was a American Idol contestant, strong woman of faith. At age 47, she passed away, and it appears that it was heart related. And so I just thought we'd lift her up going into the break. This is Mandisa with her hit song, Overcomer. It's Friday. I am Macil Duncan, and I'll be back. Don't turn that dial.
Staring at a stop sign, watching people drive by, T-Mac on the radio. Got so much on your mind, nothing's really going right, looking for a ray of hope. Whatever it is you may be going through, I know he's not gonna let it get the best of you. You're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when He reminds you that you're an overcomer.
Check out these deals.
Everybody's been down, hit the bottom, hit the ground. Ooh, you're not alone. Just take a breath, don't forget, hang on to His promises. He wants you to know you're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the
This is Macil Duncan. We're about to go to a break at 4 o'clock. Don't forget you're listening to the new Christian music here on 96.9 FM. This is a Destiny Media and Metro Tab Church. Check it out. If you're looking for a church, check out Metro Tab on Highway 153. Also, 10:30, every Sunday morning, you'll have Dr. Steve Ball preaching live, 96.9 FM, every Sunday, 10:30. You ought to check it out and see what you think. We're about to go to a news break, and we will be back, so don't turn the dial. Tell your friends the Macil Duncan Show is here. We're also on Street Level America and USA Heartbeat that takes me across the country, coast to coast, and also into Mexico, Canada, and 26 other countries. We appreciate all those that like and share the show. We're also on Rumble, X, Facebook, True Social, Locals.com, and some others. I always forget something. But anyway, I appreciate all those that like and share the show. Our audience is growing, and it's thankful to you, the listener, and we appreciate it very much. And keep in mind that this is a Christian station, so 96.9, you'll hear more in the future. We've got, we're in negotiations with Wendy Bell and Todd Starnes. We hope that works out to bring them on. There's also negotiations with some other key local and national affiliates. This is going to be Christian broadcasting. This was once the Nuga Network, but that was not considered a Christian broadcasting. It was more of a hodgepodge of stuff, and that the hodgepodge is gone. What we got now is more of a true blue, one statement that I think you're going to like. I really do. Well, this is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. I'll be back after the break. Here's a news update for you.
And thanks for being with us. You're part of a legal battle right now in the U.S., and you filed a lawsuit in the U.S. Tell us about the lawsuit.
Sure. I mean, look, the lawsuit has been filed against the group National Students for Justice in Palestine and AMP, American Muslims for Palestine. Now, these groups are the primary drivers of what we're seeing today happening across campuses in the United States, which have effectively become a second front for Hamas since October 7. And these groups, they're not mere advocacy organizations, but they are the campus arm of the Hamas terror group. They are acting and serving in collaboration and coordination with Hamas, essentially as propagandists and collaborators on campus to try and promote the Hamas extremist ideology, to justify their actions and to incite the vitriol, the hatred and the violence that we're seeing on campuses today.
So they're part of the fuel of what's actually happening right now on college campuses?
Absolutely. They are not only part of the fuel, they are the ones pouring fuel on the fire of what we're seeing on campuses across America today. On October 7th, when the massacre happened, Hamas called to mobilize into action. The very next day, SJP and the national chapters across America answered that call. They created a toolkit or a manifesto echoing the very terminology, the very directives that were issued by Hamas across campuses in the United States, and that has led not only to the violence, incitement and hatred that we're seeing against Jewish students on campuses, but also importantly, it has created the space and the narrative necessary for Hamas to continue carrying out the acts of terror they are doing here against Israelis and also in the holding of hostages and captives in Gaza, including also American nationals.
So you're saying the day after October 7th, October 8th, Hamas worked together with these groups?
Correct. Hamas issued a call to action, and the very next day, SJP and their affiliates throughout the United States, they answered that call, they answered that directive, they created a toolkit, a manifesto for their chapters across the United States, echoing the language, the terminology, the instructions by the Hamas terror group, and propagated that across campuses.
And you also have people from that were damaged on October 7th as part of the plaintiffs, is that right?
Correct. There are 9 plaintiffs, including Americans and Israelis as well, and these plaintiffs include victims of survivors of the Nova massacre. They include those that have been displaced, and they also include family members of those that have been massacred by Hamas.
Yeah. What impact do you hope this lawsuit has?
Quite frankly, we want to shut down SJP. SJP is a primary arm of Hamas on campuses across the United States. They're the ones fomenting the hatred, the anti-Semitism, the harassment of Jewish students. We need to shut them down, and we can do that legally by branding them as a terrorist organization, as a collaborator of the Hamas terror group, and making sure once and for all they cannot be active on campus. And in addition to that, also providing some semblance of justice to the victims of the Hamas terror attacks who have been deeply affected by the actions of SJP and AMP on campuses in the US.
So that is the 700 Club CBN News, and if you would like to check out more of that information, feel free to go to their site. That's some great news. I like to get a lot of my news and my information from the 700 Club CBN. This is the Macil Duncan Show, and I want to welcome our Facebook community. You guys were on an hour delay. We had some reasons for that, and so Facebook doesn't like us to play some of the songs, and but we could play live on the radio. So I delayed the show on Facebook 1 hour, but you can catch the whole show on Rumble and X, or go to streetlevelamerica.com. All my shows are logged at streetlevelamerica.com. And right after this show, it'll be replayed again live. You can go and click if you missed a bite or part of it. And tell your friends, share the show. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, speaking of music and things that are coming, Target has made an announcement. Target to offer Pride merchandise in fewer stores after the backlash against tuck-friendly swimsuit sale last year. If you guys remember, they called it Bud Lighting, and Dylan Mulvaney was the first. When they tried to push transgender down our throat, the American people said, not so fast, my friend. We can vote. You can monkey with the machines, but one thing you can't monkey with is my choices. And people said, I will vote with my feet, and I will vote with my pocketbook and my money. So Bud Light went to being the #1 beer in the nation to the lowest, and it still hasn't recovered. They've even tried to pull out Peyton Manning's, Emmitt Smith's, and old NFL stars, and that has not resurrected them. It's actually affected. Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions has been down because people like me are trying to send Peyton, who I love dearly. I have a signed picture up here when we had season tickets and went and watched him play in college. But at the moment, I can't put Peyton on my camera because Peyton, you think, and no offense, my friend, you think your poop don't stink. You've got to learn to not think that you can change everything and everybody. You should have stayed away from this one, Peyton, and I think it's going to cost you, and it's going to hurt you for a while. That's just my opinion. But what happened is all these groups started going down. Major League Baseball, Starbucks, Target, Budweiser. Remember all those products, they started going down. Of course, Disney's been in the cellar. And so what's happening is they're seeing a huge drop, and people responded to them. And Target is saying we're going to be limiting the distribution of its Pride merchandise. And don't forget, they take June as their Pride month. And so June is supposed to be the kickoff of summer. The women's basketball, baseball, all these things are supposed to be, they try to intentionally make you celebrate gay pride. Don't forget what the Dodgers did. They brought out that men's group that wears the nuns, the perpetual women of grotesque, in my opinion, and they have a dance routine of these women that are nuns. And part of the routine is one of them pretending to be a pole dancer on a cross, and there's a guy pretending to be Jesus with his hands out wide, and he's pole dancing up and down Jesus, and part of the song is the guy that pole dances puts his junk in Jesus' mouth. Now, if you think that's graphic, then take your kid to a Dodgers game and watch it live. It didn't go over well. Dodgers are another one that have been Bud Lighted, and they've had a tough time recuperating the fan base. So when you go to these extremes to embrace the transgender and the homosexual mantra, you're finding out that it's not well received. America is saying, listen, we're not being mean to these folks, but to push it down our throats is not acceptable. Not acceptable. So Target is realizing this June they're going to limit The retailer told the Associated Press on Friday that only a limited number of stores, aka blue areas, where this lip lock liberal progressive stuff's accepted, but they're not going to do it in the South. But they're going to do it in limited stores where it could be carrying the LGBTQ, whatever alphabet we're at now, themed merchandise in June. The store said that the merchandise would only be available in select markets based on guest insights and consumer research, meaning that they've done some algorithm searches and they know the hot spots where they better just back off. And they got the hot spots that embrace what they're doing. So despite the pullback, the store said it will still maintain a fully supported LGBTQ movement, and Target is committed to supporting the LGBTQIA plus Scooby-Doo, whatever community during the Pride Month and the year-round. Target said, most importantly, we want to create a welcoming, supportive environment for the LGBTQIA plus blah, 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 blah team members, which reflects our culture of care and for over 400,000 people who work at Target. So last year's backlash to the retail began after customers pointed out that the outlet was selling tuck-friendly and extra crotch coverage female swimsuits. Well, then they found out they were selling satanic T-shirts with horns, and they had actually satanic mannequins with the horns and the satanic symbolism. There was a lot of the merchandise that went along with the satanic look and the Pride collection. And you can get mad or glad. This is an honest truth. The Satanic Church, the ACLU, and transgender groups have come together last summer, and they did these special family carnivals. But one of the things at the carnival, and please try to prove me wrong, Mr. and Ms. Liberal, if you're listening, I know you want to so bad prove me wrong, but then you get on your little clipboard and you go, oh crap, he's telling the truth. They did debaptizings for Christians. What's that? At the festivals, they had the pole dancing, they would have transgenders, they would have all the embracing and all this stuff. They had these big carnivals, they'd have rides, candy, cotton candy, all the things like you would any other thing. And as they had the guys dressed up like chicks and doing all these things to lure folks in, the Satanists had a tent. And part of the ritual was they would debaptize you, meaning you would renounce Jesus and be baptized backwards. And when before you went under the water, instead of coming out, you would pledge your allegiance to Lucifer. Now, before you say, dang, Macil, there's no way, hundreds did it. Now, can you imagine someone that you know would denounce Jesus and be baptized and say, Hail Lucifer? You throw enough stuff in the eyes of the young, and they'll follow blindly. So Target is doing what we expected, but they said they're backing up the Bud Light situation, referring to a massive drop in sales of the beer brand, and it partnered with transgender identifying activist Dylan Mulvaney. We were given 36 hours, told to take all the Pride stuff, the entire section, and move it to the section that is a third of the size from the front of the store to the back of the store. You can't have anything on mannequins, and no large signage was the memo that went out after the backlash. And I would assume many of us, I don't shop at Target for other reasons that they support, and I think there's reasons why that many people right now are saying, I don't think I will. And you might have heard of these group of guys, but they actually went into a Target store and did this song. It was #1 on iTunes for quite some time, and it pretty much is saying, bad Target, you messed up.
Yeah. Digital shoppers, digital shoppers. Yeah. There's a cleanup on every aisle. Yeah. Target is targeting your kids. Yeah. They put a target on my back, but they're targeting your kids. They don't even need to ask, cause you all know what it is. Yeah, that's why I keep a strap, and I'm always by my beds. This agenda gotta stop. Yeah, you know we gonna win when they target, yeah, they target and target, yeah, they target kids. Target, yeah, they target and target, yeah, they target kids. Target's that wrong, trying to play with these kids. It's the mayor of You think that gay shit gon' get you paid? Yeah, we gon' see. It's Mar-a-Lago 2024, we trumpin', baby. They put a target on my back, but they targeting your kids. They don't even need to ask, cause you all know what it is. Yeah, that's why I keep a strap, and I'm always by my bears. This agenda gotta stop. Yeah, you know we gonna win when they target, yeah, they target and target, yeah, they target kids. Target, yeah, they target and target, yeah, they target kids. Heard the news story, targeting kids. They going after our youth, and yeah, they do it like this. If you ain't mad yet, well, then you better be pissed. Let's protest until they close and they ain't gonna be missed. Why they got pride shirts in the kids' clothing section? Why they trying to mess with the kids and give misconceptions? They manipulating minds and making evil impressions. Got little boys tucking out by time they teens got depression.
We need to clean up on every island inside this store. Satan resides. Wash it with the blood of Christ. It's needed here, so don't think twice. Dating with a Satanist. We all know this is the end. God is coming for revenge. Target is targeting.
They put a target on my back, but they targeting your kids. They don't even need to ask, cause you all know what it is. Yeah, that's why I keep a strap, and I'm always by my bears. This agenda gotta stop. Yeah, you know we gonna win when they target, yeah, they target and target, yeah, they target kids. Target, yeah, they target and target, yeah, they target kids.
Targeting kids, and that's what Target did. And I think a lot of folks are fed up with it, and I think Target's going to have a lot to answer for, and I hope they will. A lot of folks are, I don't know, they're just at a point saying, hey, I don't think I can accept what's going on. Well, as we get ready for the presidential election, we're going to go to a couple of news breaks here, and we're at the top of the hour, and it's 4:15, and I'll be back after a couple of breaks. Check the news out.
Another thing interesting in this polling was more independents said that they worry about President Biden weakening democracy than Trump, 53% to 42%. What do you make of this?
I find it shocking, honestly. I can't, make sense of that number. I wish I could. I wish I had some really great insight to it. But I don't know if it's an outlier or not, because the other numbers with independents and Biden are going in the right direction. So that may be it. But also, just one thing I wanted to add on to what Basil said. This trial's not on TV. You guys do a great job reporting what's happening. But if there aren't those images coming out of the courthouse, people feel like they know this story. We've heard about it for a long time. So it doesn't surprise me that they're not interested.
Now, this shocks me.
And it does me too. I think a lot of us are going, wow, the polls. Now, Biden says he doesn't believe in the polls. And he can say that all he wants, but the bottom line, the polls are not in his favor. And here's something else that's not in Biden's favor as we're taking the news break at the top of the hour. This is an MSNBC. They probably won't invite this guy back, but he's on the most liberal, the lip-lock liberal news of MSNBC had this guy on. And you're going to amaze what he said. This is rather interesting about the economy. See what you think.
Time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down.
Did you hear that? He's saying that kids, for the first time in American history, are not doing as well as their parents. Listen again.
For the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down. People aged 30 to 34, 60% of them in 1990 had one child. Now it's 27%. People are opting out of America. They're not optimistic about it. They're not having kids. Young people aren't having sex. They're not meeting. They're not mating. The pool of emotionally and economically viable men shrinks every day, which lessens household formation. So we have a real issue. Young people are enraged. So it turns every cut, every movement into an opportunistic infection because, quite frankly, they are just pissed off. They look up, they see wealth, exceptional wealth across my generation and people in certain industries, and they are really struggling. Their purchasing power is going down, and the incumbents create artificial scarcity on campus. We take pride in rejecting 90% of our applicants, so the incumbents who already have a degree see their degree go up in value. We get very concerned with housing and traffic once we own the housing. Housing permits are sequestered from young people. Housing prices have gone from $290 to $420 in the last 4 years. So a young person, a house, stocks that I don't own skyrocket in value. Let's have COVID relief and flush the markets and take assets way up, because if 1 million people dying would be bad, it would be tragic if I got less wealthy. And we're doing it on their credit card. Young people have every reason to be enraged, and every issue they see, they look up, they get angry, and they see someone doing better than them, and then every day it is speedballed in their face that they are failing, that they are not doing as well as everyone around them. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious, and more depressed, and more obese, and more addicted, and we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring the people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.
Now, I don't know if you caught what he said. He goes, this was an intentional. Listen to what he said.
Speedballed in their face that they are failing, that they are not doing as well as everyone around them. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious, and more depressed, and more obese, and more addicted, and we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring the people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.
Now that, my friend, was MSNBC guest. I'm trying to catch his name here at the bottom. I can't pronounce it, but anyway, he's an economist. And, buddy, did he light up the lip lock liberals? And he said this was an intentional. What we're living through now, he is saying, was intentional. They wanted bad economy. They want us to live off government so that they can control us. See, there's a whole difference between globalism and nationalism. If you vote for a global leader, that's somebody that wants to have America just be one of many voices in the world. A nationalist is somebody that says, I want to make America to stay independent, free from the world. We can help, but we don't want to be the world police. We don't want to control them, and they don't need to control us. Savvy? But that's called Make America Great Again. And a lot of you have just been enraged with a red hat instead of digesting the message that we would like to have something that is more, if you want to call it a American-driven agenda. And that's just going to be interesting. If you look at what's happened just recently since and Mike Johnson's been speaker, they have pushed the global agenda on him. He has pushed through funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel, funding for the Palestinians, funding for everyone except the American border. But he said when he first came in office, he said, hey, the American border, America first, blah, blah, blah. You remember he said that? He's the third in line to be president. If for some reason Joe Biden and Kamala passed away, they both ate some bad shrimp or something. Mike Johnson's, he's the third dude in line. Okay? He's supposed to control the checkbook. But for whatever reason, and I know there's a lot of Marjorie Taylor Greene fans out there. Marjorie Taylor Greene went after him, tried to get him kicked out, and he didn't win. 43, though, Republicans voted with her. But the Democrats have united around Mike Johnson. And I think that scares some people. Some people see it, hey, that's called leadership, being able to work with the opposing party. Others say, oh, no, that's just them using him. I don't know. But you got to understand two facts about Mike Johnson. One, he was voted in the middle of a term. He wasn't running, okay? And secondly, he is the poorest Speaker of the House we've ever had in the history. When you look at his personal assets, he is the poorest, personal finances, usually when you run for Speaker of the House, a Nancy Pelosi, a Paul Ryan, a Newt Gingrich, a Tip O'Neill, you have a war chest. You have a lot of money. It's running for Speaker of the House is like running for any other office. It takes money, It takes a lot of schmoozing and wheeling and dealing among your people so that they'll vote for you. Savvy? So for Mike Johnson to get it the way he did because they ousted McCarthy in the middle of a term, understand he did not have a war chest. He doesn't have a lot of personal finances. He is, again, go check it out. He's in debt. He doesn't have a lot of money. So my point is, if they start slapping a lot of legal threats at him, he doesn't have a big law firm to back him. I'm not excusing him caving. I'm just trying to give you something to think about. It'd be like me, like Mr. Smith going to Washington. What if I got voted to go to Washington and be a congressman? I would have absolutely nothing but my pride in my country and my faith in God. I'm clueless. I don't know how to run, be in a congressional seat. So what would they do? They would assign me a staff, a team. That's probably controlled by the party that I would represent. And they would massage me, say, "Oh, you need to vote for this. Yeah, this has been on the, you don't want to oppose this." And they would advise pretty much and control a rookie on the way in. That's where Marjorie Taylor Greene's different. Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you remember, when she first went to Congress, she was very pro-Q. She was very pro-Second Amendment. She was so scary to them. Nancy Pelosi, before they even met, stripped her of all responsibilities, would not allow her to serve on a single committee. It's never been done before. Okay? So Marjorie Taylor Greene's first term, first 2 years, all she could do was go to the general meetings. She was not on any subcommittees. She couldn't go to any subcommittees because she wasn't invited. She didn't serve on one. So what did she do? She lived and learned. Now she got divorced through that process, lost her marriage. But the other thing she did is somehow now, when McCarthy and him took over this second term, she wound up on all the major committees. Somehow Marjorie Taylor Greene developed a war chest. She got financially backed. She got folks that believed in her and wanted her to stand up for their causes. So Marjorie Taylor Greene went from being ousted, and her party didn't do much to defend her, let's say that very honestly. But she would go do these little Facebook Lives, and she would do a lot of, she refused to be put in a closet. Her and Lauren Boebert, Kat, Stefnik, the brunette lady from Florida, I can't think of her name. Those women just said, hey, we're going to unite. If you think you have a squad of idiots on the left, we'll be a squad of patriots on the right. And they have really raised the bar. So where am I going with all this? I think what will happen with just what happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think there'll be financial backers that come between now and 2024 to Mike Johnson, say, listen, we're going to back you. We're going to give you the war chest. We're going to provide the legal protection. Now, here's a list of stuff we expect out of you. And he can negotiate and said, okay, but one thing I want is this. I want that border secured. Because, see, if Trump gets in, he's going to have Trump's backing. So it's going to be interesting. All I'm saying is, please, just like you didn't throw out Marjorie Taylor Greene, you allowed her to blossom and grow, and she's becoming a true force up in D.C., and she's only in her second term. Let's be mindful that Mike Johnson, as disappointed as we are in some of these votes, let's wait and see what happens between now and 2024. And I wish Marjorie would just chill on that, because I don't think she can get him ousted. You're wasting time. You're making us look weak. All you're going to do is place doubt in the voters, and that's just not needed right now. Now, if Donald Trump did something really bad, well, we'd know that. You know, that's something we could vote on and get around. Now, this is something that was Hochul, the governor of New York. If this had been a conservative, you remember when Dan Quayle misspelled potato, and they would not let it go? Check this out. This is the governor of New York, pretty much saying a very racist statement that kids of color don't even know what a computer is.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what.
Hello, I'm David Miliband, President and...
Oh, goodness. Yes, they tried to slip a commercial in on me. Hang on. Let's start it over. Here we go. Zoop.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, innovating solutions, diverse voices, innovating solutions.
Well, if they have a diverse voice, but you're implying that they're ignorant, they don't know what a computer is. Are you saying that their diverse voices, are in ignorance? It takes someone like you to lead the way?
Through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
Blacks don't know what computers are. Pretty sure they know what computers are, but they don't know what fathers are. I don't think YouTube's gonna like that joke.
No, I think she kind of blew it there, and that's just me. Now, if this had been Trump, this would have been mainstream news.
It's great to have Tulsi.
And I just don't think they understand that. Now, Tulsi Gabbard talks about why she left the Democratic Party, and this is what's going to be interesting to see if more people actually leave the Democratic Party. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But I want to go up here to some of the news that we dug up, and I think it's important for us to look at, because another Ivy League school, another Ivy League school president has resigned, and because this Hamas Palestinian pro-Iranian chants and stuff, it's not flying well with Americans, You can try to get all your little puppet crisis actors on these campuses. We're finding out now 62% of those in the protest are not even students. They're paid to be there. Interesting. Another Ivy League school president resigns after months of anti-Israel protest on campus. Cornell University President Martha Pollack announced her resignation on Thursday, becoming the third Ivy League school president to step down this year after being blasted for their handling of the anti-Israel demonstrations that swept through the college campuses. So President Martha Pollack of Cornell, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. And Pollack said her decision to quit is mine and mine alone. Come on. You think, that's El Stuboto. We're not buying that one, my friend. So you've got Martha Pollack stepping down from Cornell, and along with these other presidents. Now, what they'll probably do is just reelect another liberal, and that liberal just be walking on eggshells, saying, hey, I better be careful, because if I go too far like she did, I'll lose my job. So I will do similar things, but I'll just water it down, rename it, etc. That's kind of what liberals do. But I think this is interesting. But there's good news in the land. Did you know the teen who vandalized the Central Park World War I memorial during anti-Israel protests was turned in? I don't know if you heard this. The Daily Wire is reporting that a teenager who helped desecrate the World War I memorial in Central Park earlier this week was handed over to the police. And guess who handed him over? His father. This is interesting. The father on Thursday night handed his son over to be charged with multiple crimes. The 16-year-old anti-Israel protester who alleged spray-painted Gaza on the memorial honoring Americans who bravely fought in the World War I has been charged with third-degree criminal mischief, a felony, and making graffiti a misdemeanor. The New York Post reported Deputy Commissioner of Operations Kaz Daughtry posted a blurred photo of the teenager in handcuffs after his father turned him in. That took some guts, Dad. For that dad to do that, it's the right thing to do, but how many of you would have done it? Because some of you have to admit, you've got kids that have total different values from you. And it's hard to do. The world has, if you don't think the media can get to your kids. Now, back in 2016 election, I've told this story before, but I'm not trying to make fun of my kids. But my two younger daughters had said they didn't know if they were going to vote. They were getting all upset. Russell Moore, who used to work for the Southern Baptist Convention, he backed Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush. And when they came out of the race and Trump became the nominee, he told college students and young adults across the Southern Baptist Convention that they should not vote. Now, that's why Russell Moore now works for George Soros and his magazine he bought, because we found out Russell Moore was a liar, a loser, and someone that was very deceptive. That's why we don't welcome Russell Moore anymore in the Southern Baptist circles. Only lip-lock liberals welcome Russell Moore. But here's the deal. As you started looking at what they were doing, so I wanted to prove a point. We had Thanksgiving that year, and my girls, you know, we raised them right. You know, my kids never, to my knowledge, did drugs, did the sleep around stuff. They were virgins when they were married. I took their word for that. They live for the Lord, love God, still do. But I came to to dinner, and I had a red shirt, T-shirt, that said America, and a red hat that said America. Nothing about Donald Trump, no MAGA. I sat down, and my two youngest daughters said, "Dad, take that off," and just immediately went after me, raising their voices, making a lot of condescending remarks at my dinner table, my freaking dinner table. You know what I said? I said for a minute, I said, "Excuse me. Excuse me. Whose house are you in? Your house or mine?" They realized they've been yelling at their father. They never yelled at me before. I said, "What do you see?" "I see America. America. Why are you yelling at me for wearing an American shirt and American hat?" Excuse me. Who in the world has raped your brain? Big pause, awkwardness. I said, "I'll wear whatever I want to this table because it's my table. And how dare you yell at me? And I want to know who's influenced you. Who has gotten to you?" Russell Moore was one. A freaking Southern Baptist leader of the Southern Baptist Convention. Now, see, my point is this. Donald Trump, if he wins, he's only got 4 years, and actually 2 years, because the midterms he'll probably lose the House or the Senate. That's what always happens. So, in all realism, if you vote for Trump, you're getting 2 years of strong Trump, and his last 2 years will be Trump light. He's going to have to make deals to finish out, and then he's done. He can't serve again. Okay, I don't think people have digested that. But my point is, there have been friendships and families. Now, we've all come around, and now my daughters vote for Trump. Now my daughters appreciate Trump. Now my daughters have seen the light. Well, let me tell you, the enemy can get into your camp. All of us can deal with it. So I want you to think about that. But as we're looking at that, kudos to this father. I've just got to say, way to go, Dad, to turn your kid in for doing that. It just brought back that story to me. That was a very disappointing Thanksgiving. My poor wife was over there in tears, afraid I was going to run them off and they weren't going to come back. I said, "Honey, I didn't start it, but I finished it. Okay? You're not going to yell at me at my table. I don't yell at them, and they're not going to yell at me." Blaze Media, Blaze News investigates the truth behind China's stealth border invasion. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of folks are very concerned about the young military-aged that are crossing our southern border. Blaze News investigates the truth behind China's stealth U.S. border invasion. America can only be destroyed by enemies from within, many think. And don't you remember the Communist Party back in Russia said, we will take America and we won't fire a shot. We will eventually get your children to welcome us in. That's what the commie said. Illegal immigrants abandoned IDs before crossing the border and disappearing into the interior of the U.S. The Biden administration open border policies have fueled a staggering increase in illegal immigrants at the northern and southern borders. New research indicates that an increased number of these illegal immigrants do not come originally from Mexico or other countries, but further south and even from Asia. Customs and Border Protection officials have been reporting massive increase in Chinese nationals attempting to illegally enter the country, particularly since late 2023. The Daily Caller Foundation reported that earlier this year that the White House relaxed the interview vetting process of Chinese nationals and has gone easier on the Chinese crossing the border than any other nationality. News Nation captured a video of Hot Springs, California, showing a massive caravan of Chinese nationals who have crossed the border illegally. And they're all male, if you want to call the word fighting age. Ages looks to be 16 to 36. The first 6 months of the fiscal year, Custom and Border officials nationwide encountered nearly 42,000 Chinese nationals. That's a 133% increase compared to the same period of fiscal year when they encountered just over 18,000. So with a 113% increase, you've got to wonder, why is Biden so soft on China? We don't understand completely. We all seem to kind of understand that there's obviously been a deal made, but what's going to be the deal that Americans are going to have to pay for and digest? Well, it's kind of like what Newsmax mentioned, and I bring this up because of what's going on the border. This is not by accident. It's not all of a sudden everyone around the world says, gee, let's go to America and cross the border today. No, this was planned. There are NGOs, non-government organizations, that are paying for these passages, bus rides. They all come in with cell phones, backpacks. When you go down and just watch them cross the border, do any of them look like they've missed a meal? Do they look like they're sweating? No. If I had walked up from South America through Mexico all the way to I think I would be rather thin. I think my clothes would be worn out. They look like they just came out of a Walmart store with brand new clothes on. You think about that. So with that said, and I brought this up earlier in the show, October 7th, Newsmax says the October 7th was a managed and a planned event by Iran's Quds forces. And this expert, Dr. Hamashian, I can't say the names, I'm not from the culture. I'm not trying to butcher it, I'm just trying my best here. He goes, I believe that everything that happened on October 7th was managed and planned during the era of Soleimani, and his henchmen, after Soleimani was killed, is just carrying out the plans. They've had these plans, these tunnels. It took decades to build the tunnel system that they have right now. So see, this again, this proves there is a plan in place, my friend. Don't be too naive to think that all this isn't happening right before a presidential election. Okay? We're finding out many more are doubting that COVID-19 was not a pandemic, but a plandemic. It shut the world down. It brought in all this new voting regulations and allowed a lot of irregularities at best. And I'll just put to bed, if Biden wanted to put to bed that he really won by 81 million votes, if I was Joe Biden and I had beat Donald Trump, I would say, let's do the recount, and then I'm going to have a pate and rub it in his face that I blew him away. Instead, they get all defensive, and let's make enemies of January 6 folks that don't agree. We didn't do that with the Hillary Clinton folks that said the election was stolen in 2016. Sammy? This is all planned mind minutia. They want to get you distracted, and so that they'll be then reactive. That's what they want. But as we do that, let's see how we're doing on time. We're about to get ready for the break, and it is Friday, and I thought it'd be nice to hear some cool songs on Friday. And Ann Wilson has a song, Let Me Tell You About My Jesus. I don't know if you heard it, She's a country singer, but also kind of contemporary Christianish. See what you think.
I'm so sorry. We did everything we could.
Are you past the point of weary? Is your burden weighing heavy? Is it all too much to carry? Let me tell you about my Jesus. Do you feel that empty feeling? 'Cause shame's done all it's stealing, and you're desperate for some healing. Let me tell you about my Jesus. He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can save. Let me tell you about my Jesus. His love is strong and his grace is free. And the good news is I know that he can do for you what he's done for me. Let me tell you about my Jesus. And let my Jesus change your life. Disappear. Oh, let me tell you about my Jesus and all the wrong turns that you would going on to if you could. Who can work it out for your good? Let me tell you about my Jesus. He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can save. Let me tell you about my Jesus. His love is strong and his grace is free. And the good news is I know that he can do for you what he's done for me. Let me tell you about my Jesus. And let my Jesus change your life. Hallelujah. 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 Amen. Take my cross to Calvary, pay the price for all my guilty. Who would care that much about me? Let me tell you about my Jesus. Oh, he makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can save. Let me tell you about my Jesus. His love is strong and his grace is free. And the good news is I know that he can do for you what he's done for me. Let me tell you about my Jesus. And let my Jesus change your life. Hallelujah. 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 Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Let my Jesus change your life.
The Senate overwhelmingly passed a 5-year, $105 billion resolution to reauthorize the Federal Aviation Administration a day before the law was set to expire. The bipartisan bill aims to improve safety and customer service for air travelers. Among other measures, the bill calls for hiring more air traffic controllers, faster refunds for canceled flights, and technology upgrades to avert close call incidents on runways. The FAA says 3,600 employees would have been furloughed if the law expired. The Senate also passed a 1-week extension for the law's expiration, with the House expected to vote on the reauthorization bill next week.
For tonight, the pro-Palestinian encampment in George Washington.
Protesters attempted to storm a Tesla plant in Germany Friday. Their hopes to stop an expansion of the EV automaker's Berlin-Brandenburg gigafactory. Tesla aims to cut down 250 acres of forest in the area to build a freight rail depot and storage facilities. Locals voted against the proposed expansion in February, but the vote was non-binding, and Tesla and local officials are pushing forward with the plan. Protesters have been camped out near the facility since Monday, with the crowds growing through Thursday, prompting Tesla to tell workers to stay home Friday. Chaos ensued as activists tried to invade Tesla's property, while sit-in blockades cut off road access for vehicles. There were scuffles with police and protesters trying to flee. Authorities say several people were taken into custody and a few injuries were reported. Some Tesla cars were damaged by vandalism. Officers reportedly prevented anyone from actually getting inside the facility. Elon Musk responded in a post on X, saying, "Why do police let left-wing protesters off so easily?" Download the Straight Arrow News app for more stories like this, or you can visit our website at san.com.
Well, thanks so much, my friends. This is the Macil Duncan Show. I am on the formerly Nuga, I'm on the Destiny Media 96.9 FM here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're also on USA Heartbeat Radio and Street Level America that take me into over 32 states, the District of Columbia, Mexico, Canada, and we are seeing audience growing each and every day. Thank you guys that like and share the show. Tell your friend. You can find me on Rumble, X, Facebook, True Social, Podbean, and we appreciate all that. And God bless. And getting ready now for Mother's Day, and I hope you guys have got your Mother's Day gift. What are you getting your wife or your mom? Have you thought about it? Well, let me tell you the best gift you can give them. It's pretty much 4 letters, T-I-M-E, time. Make sure you pick up the phone, send the card, send the text, but if at all possible, get in the car and go spend time with your mother. There's nothing like the hug, the moments, because let me tell you, there'll be a time you wish you had. I can't tell you how many people that say, boy, if I just had one more hour, one more conversation. So it's something for you to pray about, being involved in your mother's life, and letting them know, hey, I love you, I care about you. It's a Friday. A couple of things. I'm going to go down here to the lower screen here. A couple of things that we were talking about earlier in the show, and you may have heard this. The NOAA warning. It's called NOAA. Severe geometric storms. There's a forecast to hit Earth as early as today. CBS News is saying maybe even 8 p.m. tonight, but they're calling that possibly grid blackouts, internet outages, and supercharged northern lights possible. Some of these are saying you might want to make sure you have plenty of gas in your car, charge your phones, and have the backup chargers ready. The doomsday possibility of happening tonight from 8 p.m. on, but you can go to different agencies. You've got I checked CNN's got something about it, Newsmax, One America News, and so etc. So there's something to this. There's a lot of folks concerned. And you could go and read about this in the Daily or the Gateway Pundit, but there is a storm of cosmic abilities coming our way, and we'll see. Texas, and I shared with you earlier in the show, had hail the size of 6 inches, big enough to be breaking large windows in SUVs and businesses. And Texas has only had hail 4 times. This is the 4th time in the history that they have recorded in Texas to have hail at this level. So interesting stuff. A lot of folks are being concerned about the amount of weather issues coming. There is weather modification research, and people talk about that. Are the tornadoes, are some of the tragedies that we have, the flooding, is that controlled by some way? Don't know. Is it all completely God, or can any of it be man-made or man-manipulated? I've heard the different stories, and it's up to you. Make up your own decision. It wouldn't surprise me if the government has the opportunities and stuff to manipulate weather. But bottom line is, I still have the ultimate belief God's in charge. Anytime God wants to, he can unplug their little machines and say, nah, I'm not going to let you do that. So I still trust that God's bigger. Well, AI may be the biggest propaganda weapon the world has ever seen, and globalists are already lying about how it will be used. This is interesting. A lot of folks are concerned about AI, artificial intelligence. Patrick Wood, editor-in-chief of Technocracy.news, decided to try a little experiment, and he published the results of an article in his website. First, he points out that the ChatGPT learned from a woke internet, and second, it is programmed to filter out narratives hostile to globalist elites. Okay, so that was on purpose. So Wood got a paid subscription to ChatGPT and set out to prove or disprove Altman's statements about the neutrality of his product. Okay, so as he does this, Wood asked, "I'm worried about the safety of mRNA-based vaccines. Should I be concerned or not?" And many responded, "It's completely normal to have concerns about new vaccines like mRNA-based ones, etc. However, it's important to know that these vaccines have undergone rigorous testing for safety, efficiency, and have been approved for use. The mRNA technology has been studied for years, yada, yada, yada." Then expanded further, "If you have specific concerns or questions about the mRNA vaccines, I have been speaking with healthcare provider, trusted medical people." Would then ask a more specific question because he knew the vaccine would lure them in because, you know, there's a community that believes in all that, unlike me. So then he asked this question in particular. "I'm worried about microdotis." I can't say the word. Anyway, he talks about the concern of this, the side effects of this disease, etc. And he talks about the vaccines, and he gets a response. He lures them in some more. And then he goes on, "The answers read like Pfizer or Moderna ad." He goes, "Rigorous testing, safety, efficiency." He goes, "A rare side effect." His conclusion is that they've all been lied to and they digested the lies. Wood goes on to report that the new research will be presented later this month at the conference of the European Society of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Disease, showing that the artificial intelligence diversion, it's dispensing a program, and his concern is that the AI will be nothing but a way to produce their lies, monitor those of us that are truth tellers, and either silence our voice or hinder our voices because they'll be able to watch us 24/7. See, one thing about AI, they never sleep nor slumber. They're gonna treat AI like we would God. Savvy? So, interesting stuff here. You can go check out the article. It's in the Gateway Pundit. AI may be the biggest propaganda weapon the world has ever seen, and the globalists are already lying about its efficiency. And I think they're right. So, speaking of the vaccines, Dr. Birx, with massive confession regarding the vaccines. Hello, Scarf Lady. Coming, I guess, a little clean from all of her lies. During the COVID pandemic, there was a few big names we saw on TV daily. And one was, of course, Dr. Ouchie Fauci. I called him Ouchie Fauci because he liked to give you all those shots. Ouch, doctor. Ouchie Fauci and Scarf Lady, Dr. Burke. Along with Dr. Fauci, however, it seems she's changed her tone regarding the jab. What exactly did she say, and what does it mean, the vaccine at large? Interesting in this interview here. You can go check it out. It's on the Gateway Pundit. You'll have to watch it. But a couple of things in her book, Scarf Lady says, Dr. Burke, the China virus did come to us in a box from China. Secondly, she goes, we lied to the president when we said we need to flatten the curve. Y'all remember all that flatten the curve? And they had John Legend out there playing his piano, flatten the curve. She said it was all a lie. But we knew if we got the country shut down for 2 weeks, we can then use the pressure of the media and the populists to make Trump then shut it down for 2 years. That was our goal. She goes, she talked about other lies they told Donald Trump. Therefore, some of us are seeing that Donald Trump was getting false information. Just like we're finding out that Silly Millie and the Joint Chiefs of Staff lied to Trump. When he asked for Trump reduction and withdrawals, they were telling it was happening, and they left the troops in certain parts of the world against the commander-in-chief's desire to bring some of our people home. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but Dr. Birx has been making confessions and has been making the talk show circuit for some reason. And where's Ouchie Fauci? I haven't heard from him in a while. He used to be the highest paid. Now, I will tell you a fact, Jack, if you want to check it out. He was the highest paid federal employee. When Donald Trump was president, the president was number 7. You guys remember, I brought this up. If you went to the federal pay, and because the president makes $400,000 a year, plus some perks, etc. Well, Donald Trump was giving his salary away, if you remember, to different groups each quarter. He would pick a charity to give it to. But Anthony Fauci was the highest paid. Okay, now, the guy that took over, Anthony Fauci, by the way, gave himself a raise. He got a raise. When he left office, he was making over $480,000 about, with plus his perks, his all that, just his base salary. And he gave himself a raise. He admitted, because he knew he drove 80% of his salary once he retired. And he wanted, but with the raise, when they brought then it was going to put him back pretty much at what he was drawing annually. Interesting. But go look, check this out. You ready for this? I know it's Friday. Check this out. When you go to the government federal payment website, because they have to document this, the top 100 now federal paid employees make more than the president. 100 people make more money than the president of the United States. Now, when Trump, there were 7 or 6. He was number 7. Biden's not even on the list. They're all listed as medical officers. Now, I'm not throwing a conspiracy here. I'm just going to tell you a possibility. The Pentagon finally admitted we have 306 biolabs around the world. We have 49 that they've admitted to in the Ukraine. Okay? The Pentagon, they lied at first, but they actually came out, and then Tulsi Gabbard, the Democrat that left the party, said she knew of 27. And it just, after that, the facts just kept rolling. And then Mitt Romney, remember, was very rebuking of her. Well, we come to find out in the Ukraine, Mitt Romney's son, Paul Pelosi's son, John Kerry's, a lot of them, their kids had jobs at Ukraine energy companies. It wasn't just Hunter Biden, my friends. So is it by coinkydinks? We've got over 100 people paid more than the president. They're all listed as medical officers. And when you just do the research, and as you see all this, that they're all dealing with medical issues, medical officers, we've got 306 biolabs. There's 49 in Ukraine alone. Are we sending money there? Is there something we are covering up? Is there not very, I mean, I got a question for you. Do you guys remember when O.J. Simpson was trying to flee, and there were helicopters everywhere? Do you guys remember that? There was news everywhere. Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Do you remember all the news in there? Just think back at major events. 2 things I don't understand. One, how come when Washington, D.C. was shut down for 6 months after the election, not one reporter, not one helicopter flying over D.C. explaining why they put fencing around the Supreme Court, and this is all fact check, the White House, around the congressional building, etc. Why did they fence it for 6 months and brought in 30 to 40,000 troops and shut down D.C.? Where was the news? We've yet to been told. No live reports. Hey, this is Ichabod Job. I'm here watching live. None of it. Why no live reports really from Ukraine? Now, when Hamas flew in on those gliders and were shooting, 50 U.S. reporters or global reporters were given the skinny, and they were there filming it. Do you remember that? Which I think's sick, is that they wanted to film these guys coming on hang gliders shooting at 300 students. See, the media is not our friend. Savvy? Well, I've gone into the commercial break, and I apologize for that. Not that you guys really care, but since this is the Macil Duncan Show, I thought I would do it a little different and remind you, no matter how crazy it sounds, just remember God's not dead. It's Friday. Let's have a good rock song.
In a statement released today, scientists have announced that based on their research, they have concluded that God is a myth.
Surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead. He's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring. He's roaring like a lion. Let hope arise and make the darkness hide. My faith is dead. Somehow, no, I'm lost in your freedom, and this world I'll overcome. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring, he's roaring like a lion. He's roaring, let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. Let heaven roar and fire fall. Come shake the ground with the sound of revival. My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. He's roaring, he's roaring like a lion. He's roaring, he's roaring, he's roaring like a lion, roaring like a lion.
Anheuser-Busch InBev shares they're higher after topping first quarter earnings estimates, as you can see there, up about 4%. Still, though, this is the maker of Bud Light. That's the question here. They're seeing a decline in demand from the boycott that started in April of last year. There's still a carryover there.
In the world of beer, Bud Light is still feeling fallout from a boycott that started more than a year ago. In the first quarter of 2024, Anheuser-Busch, known for its Bud Light brand, got some good news. It beat earnings expectations despite the boycott that started in April 2023 after Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender influencer, promoted the beer on Instagram. Recent numbers show the company saw a 2.6% revenue increase, mainly from price hikes as overall sales volume dipped. In the U.S., Anheuser-Busch faced a significant 9.9% drop in sales volume, largely due to falling Bud Light sales, impacting both retail and wholesale figures. Industry consultant Bump Williams noted the boycott's enduring impact, saying the company lost a whole generation of hardcore Bud Light shoppers. He warned it could take a decade for Anheuser-Busch to win back their loyalty. The company is now focusing on strategies to appeal to younger consumers as they come of age. Data from Bump Williams Consulting shows that in the last 4 weeks, Bud Light sales fell by 27.1% year over year, while Miller Lite and Coors Light sales increased by 7.8% and 15.3% respectively. Last year's brand backlash extended to Target as well. The company addressed the controversy over its Pride Month clothing and marketing this week. The chain announced it's reducing in-store LGBTQ merchandise during Pride Month, a response to last year's controversy. Bloomberg reports that about half of Target stores will carry the Pride collection this year. Civil rights groups have criticized Target for succumbing to pressure from anti-LGBTQ customers angered by Target's Pride Month marketing and merchandise. Despite the in-store changes, Target continues to offer comprehensive LGBTQ goods online, reaffirming its commitment to the community. You can find out more at san.com, or you can find us in the App Store.
And that's why you do the boycotts, my friend. Because when you vote with your feet and don't go places or do go places, or you vote with your pocketbook and you buy things or you don't buy things, it sends a message. Can I give a case in point that I've said on a couple occasions recently? Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is setting the stage, but she came into the NBA she caught the perfect storm when America and the globe wanted a real woman athlete. They don't want a dude that can't make it in guy sports putting on a wig and pretending to be a chick. That's just not that. Nobody wants to see that. Maybe less than 2% of the population, but they rammed it down our throats. And all of a sudden, this young lady comes along that is very good. She's got the quick release of a Steph Curry. She's got the accuracy of a Kovacic. I can't remember that guy's name. And she's just unreal. She's a superstar. And she even caught criticism from the veterans of the WNBA that were a little jelly because she was getting her own shoe contract. She was getting lots of endorsements. She had them in college. Her NIL contract, she had State Farm, she had Gatorade, she had 2 or 3, she had 4 or 5 little jingles out there. So, she was making some money. Well, now she goes to the WNBA. And what I think's happening, they've got 30 of her games are going to be televised for the first time ever. 30 WNBA games will be televised, and they're pretty much all Caitlin Clark's. The other thing is, all the teams that are playing against the Indiana Fever are renting out bigger arenas when she comes to town. Their normal home arena is a small arena, but they're moving the games to larger arenas knowing that she will pack them out. And I'm not trying to diminish her skill. Guys, she's straight. She doesn't have any ill will towards anybody. She just wants to play some basketball. And I think America says, hallelujah. Somebody that just wants to play ball. And she's good. She's very, very good. So people are buying her jerseys. On draft night of WNBA night, she sold more jerseys that night than the whole Dallas Cowboy team. And the Dallas Cowboys are the most supposedly profitable franchise of all the sports franchises on the globe. She sold more in one night, her Indiana Fever, than the whole Dallas Cowboy team. She has now since sold more jerseys, Indiana Fever number 22. She's the number one selling jersey on the globe, out of soccer, football, basketball, underwater basket weaving, whatever. Now, why would the world, not just America, why is the world rallying around a straight young lady who's playing ball? I think it's that voting with your feet and voting with your money that we just like things the way they ought to be. God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Savvy? Something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. Well, I think there's a lot going on, and I think a lot of us would have to say that the world around us seems like it's going to El Craparoo, and sometimes we have concerns. But then you have to just try to wade through the minutia, wade through some of it, and get a little bit of a, hey, I think there's going to be some sanity at the end of the day. But here's another question. Milgren throws down against Jim Jordan, the GOP lawmaker. The House approved a $95 million in foreign aid and nothing for the border. Why should Republican voters trust you? That's a good question. Kudos to Fox News reporter Bill Mulligan for going where no Fox reporter dared to go before, if you want to call it. He asked the most obvious question of every Republican voter's mind. Why should we keep voting for these cowards and liars? It's their words, not mine. In April, Speaker Mike Johnson and the House Republicans voted to send another $95 billion in military aid to Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel, and nothing for securing our own borders in Mexico. This was the last straw for millions of Americans who thought they were voting for politicians who actually cared about America first and the globally community second. On Friday, Fox News host Mr. Mulgren could not hold back any longer and asked Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, who is holding meetings on the open border on Friday, why Republican voters should support Republicans in Congress when they will send $95 billion overseas and not spend a dime on its own U.S. border security. It's a good question. Jim Jordan's answer: we're on pace. We're on pace to get 12 million migrants coming into the country in 4 years of the Biden administration. I think it's more than that. I think you're downplaying it, Mr. Jim. I think we all know it's going to be closer to 15 to 17 million that he's bringing in, and because you're not counting the getaways and those that have just snuck in and we don't even know. Plus, Biden administration has admitted they've been flying illegals so that they're not seen at the border from Mexico into our country and from Canada into our country to states, and so they're not even being documented that way. So I think you're going to be closer to 20 mil. That's just me. But anyway, let's go back to Jim the Jordan. Blah, 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 blah. This is how bad this is. And now suddenly Joe Biden, now he wants to blame Joe because he's close to the election, and this is front and center on American people's mind. He's thinking about, well, maybe we need to change the asylum ruling and how we handle asylum, proving, as Senator Johnson said, that he could have done this all along. So we'll see what happens. We're out here today to hear from ranchers, to hear from Border Patrol agents, and to frankly hear from the mom who lost 2 children because their fentanyl issue, just to underscore how bad it's gotten under Joe Biden. Now, Jim, if I could talk to Jim Jordan or any of them, Mike Johnson, I would just have to say, I know you guys are trained to turn the conversation to blame your enemy. The Democrats do it too. But I think America, I don't know if some of you agree with me, if there was a third option, I think we would all vote for it. Meaning, sorry, RFK Jr. is just, Robert Kennedy, you're not electable. So plus you lean too much left and others, I can't vote for him. But now that he's come out and said he's got worms in his brain that have been eating in his brain, that's not good. Plus he just came out and also said he's all for full-term abortion. But if there was a true third party, and Jill Stein, sorry, not you either. But if there was a true third party, it could make there's a lot of disappointment right now in the electorate. And I think the border issue, this is where I think the GOP are blown in two areas. One, going after Mike Johnson as if it's all Mike Johnson's fault. Mike Johnson, this with no offense, he's too poor. He's just nothing but a puppet. He's doing what he's told. The GOP needs to get behind him and get something and do something. Okay, and words, I think we're tired of the word salads. Some of you guys are great. I mean, Matt Gaetz, he's got to be the best word salad tosser of all time. But nothing gets done. Now, one thing about Matt Gaetz, he got McCarthy ousted. You got to admit, Matt Gaetz took some hits and he went hard. But other than that, we're not sensing anything being done. So that's just me. And I think that the reporter from Fox, good job. Kudos to you, my friend. Missouri Attorney General demands DOJ release the communications between Soros-funded DAs Alvin Bragg, Lolita James, Fannie the Wanny Willis over the witch hunt against President Trump. The Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey has formally requested the U.S. Department of Justice release all communications involving Manhattan District Attorney Alvin the Bragg, New York Attorney General Lolita the James, and Fulton County District Attorney, the most famous Fannie the Wanny, I've got a boyfriend and I'm going to pay him well, Willis, in relation to the witch hunt against former President Donald Trump. So the thing that's come out that they can't get away from is Wade, which is Fannie the Wanny's boyfriend, when she put him on the payroll and Georgia people were their tax dollars paying him, he kept documentation, and one thing he kept documentation of their trips to the White House for the meetings. And they went and had meetings, okay, before Trump was charged. Can we say collaboration? Now, it's one thing to get all your legal people together and make sure you have an understanding. That's not illegal. He's just saying, hey, I would like to see the documentations and how many meetings there were. We do know there were multiple because Mr. Wade charged Georgia for it. If I was a citizen in Georgia, I would say, I want my money back. All the millions you paid him, I would find out all of his expenses, all of everything they paid him. They're not telling you the truth. Find out how much they paid that dude and say, that was a waste. I want my money back. It may only be $5 a citizen, but I tell you what, I would want the $5. I would make it a mission. But anyway, student at Philadelphia Leaders Academy Cultural Day event praises jihad and martyrdom. I don't know if you heard about this. When they tell you who they are, believe them. On May 7th, Philadelphia Leaders Academy held a Cultural Day event. They shared a video on their YouTube channel of remarks by a student, Raneen Mustafa, where they spoke about Palestine. According to the translation, she spoke in her native tongue, of course. She praised jihad as the principle of Islam and praised martyrdom of the people of Gaza, and talked about real men sacrifice through jihad. You know what that is? That's telling folks, hey, go out there and die a death of martyrdom. Fly a plane into a building, do something crazy that you'll die, but all the other infidels you take with you will make you some kind of a better life in the next world. So for her to do that, it's rather amazing that they just allow that to happen. I cannot believe that our country has not shut that down and said, listen, that's just not acceptable. That's just not acceptable. I don't know about you. Sometimes, don't you just want to say, gosh, good God Almighty, what is going on? And I know that sometimes I want to say that. So let's think about that just for the next 2 minutes.
Good God Almighty, I hope you'll find me praising your name no matter what comes. I can't count the times I've called your name some broken night, and you showed up and patched me up like you do every time. I get amnesia, I forget that you keep coming right. Yeah, ain't no way you ever let me down. Good God Almighty, I hope you find me praising your name no matter what comes. 'Cause I know where I'd be without your mercy. So I keep praising your name at the top of my lungs. Tell me, is he good? He's good. Tell me, is he God? He's God. He is good, God Almighty. You say your love goes on forever, that your mercy never stops. So why would I assume you'll be somebody that you're not? Like sun in the morning, I know you're gonna be there every day. So what on earth could make me be afraid?
This.
Good God Almighty, I hope you'll find me praising your name no matter what comes. 'Cause I know where I'd be without your mercy. So I keep praising your name at the top of my lungs. Tell me, is he good? He's good. Tell me, is he God? He's God. He is good, God Almighty. Praise him in the morning, praise him in the noontime, praise him when the sun goes down. Love him in the morning, love him in the noontime, love him when the sun goes down. Good God Almighty, I hope you'll find me praising your name no matter what comes. 'Cause I know where I'd be without your mercy. So I keep praising your name at the top of my lungs. Tell me, is he good? He's good. Tell me, is he God? He's God. He is good, God Almighty. Jesus in the morning, Jesus in the noontime, Jesus when the sun goes down. Jesus in the morning, Jesus in the noontime, Jesus when the sun goes down.
And that is Crowder Band, if you haven't heard it. Good God Almighty, one of my favorite all-time songs. I think he does a wonderful job. And but anyway, I was looking at some of the news. Did you know there's the world's largest vacuum to fight climate change, of all things? See what you think. I thought this was interesting, and you might as well.
It sucks when things get dirty, especially when it comes to air quality. But what if cleaning it was as easy as this? You need the world's biggest vacuum ever to do it. Enter the Mammoth. Now up and running in Iceland, this direct air capture plant was designed to suck up planet heating pollution. At full capacity, the Mammoth can pull nearly 40,000 tons of carbon from the atmosphere. That's equivalent to taking about 8,000 gas-powered cars off the road for a year. By 2050, the plant's creators say it will have removed a gigaton of CO2, equal to eliminating around 2/3 of all gas vehicles in the entire continent of North America for a year. Once the carbon is taken out of the air, it will be transported underground, where those emissions naturally transform into stone. And the whole operation runs on clean geothermal energy. The only problem is, doing this isn't cheap. $100 per ton of carbon removed is widely seen as the threshold for making this type of technology affordable. But it currently costs the Mammoth closer to $1,000 per ton. The company who built it expects those prices to come down in the future, though. Their goal is to reach $300 a ton by 2030 before hitting that crucial $100 mark in 2050. Jack Almer, Straight Arrow News.
I apologize. The other report.
Topping first quarter earnings estimates.
There we go. Have you guys ever heard that you can take a dollar bill and scrub it and make a $100 bill? Evidently, people have been doing that, and they actually have a tutorial on YouTube that's been taken down. But here's a news report warning you that the police evidently can tell, but somehow you can take a $1 bill and make it a $100 bill. This was interesting. See if you think you would agree.
From police, someone is taking $1 bills and turning them into $100 bills. Authorities say it's happened about a dozen times in the past month. Nikki Schenfeld spoke to a Hilo cashier who was able to spot the difference before it was too late.
A cashier at Ohana Foods Hilo had a feeling something was off when a woman handed her a $100 bill on Saturday.
And she proceeded to tell me that it's an old bill. But I had an old bill in one of our tip jars. And so I pulled out the old bill on the side and I was like, okay, it looks different. It's more of like a yellowish tone versus as the bill she gave me, it was black.
Ramos marked the bill with the counterfeit pen. Yellow means real currency, so she was confused.
I lifted it up one more time, and that's when I noticed the faded $1 marking, and I told her, I was like, you know, like this is a counterfeit bill. It's not $100, and I'm not able to give it back to you. I will have to report it to the HPD.
The woman gave Ramos another $100 bill, saying the money was from her payroll, but Ramos saw that it was fake too. Ramos says she also noticed faint letters on the fake $100 bill, which the $1 and $2 bill are still printed with today. And the $100 bill has been using this kind of seal since 1996.
So you might want to check those $100 bills in your wallet and ask yourself, have you noticed a lot of places said they won't take anything larger than a 20? Evidently, the $50 and $100 bills have been successfully, I guess people, it's something about using an iron and some kind of treatment. You could take a $1 bill and somehow make it look like a $100 bill. I don't know the process. But you just be wary, my friend, especially those that have small businesses, because if you turn that in, you won't get credit for it. They'll just take it away, and you've been ripped, kind of ripped off, and that's a sad thing. So keep that in mind. Make good decisions, and don't let people rush you, because that's the thing that happens sometimes. We get rushed, and we don't realize, hey, we're being rushed, and then something happens. So. Here's interesting. Some migrants in Denver issue a list of demands to a city before they said they will clear their encampment. See if you like these list of demands, and if you lived in the city, would you give it to them?
The city of Denver cleared out 2 migrant encampments located near Denver International Airport under a bridge near train tracks Wednesday. The land is privately owned by railroad company Union Pacific. The Denver government petitioned for the migrants to move to city-run shelters funded by the city. But migrants staying at the encampments had previously sent a list of demands to Mayor Johnston, saying they would not leave until the city met their requirements. Some of the migrant demands included allowing migrants to cook their own food, access to showers without a time limit, regular doctor's visits with referrals to specialized care, housing and employment support, and transportation. Migrants also asked the city to provide free immigration lawyers, among other demands. A spokesperson for Denver Human Services told the local Fox affiliate, "At the end of the day, what we do not want is families on the streets of Denver." About 100 migrants accepted the city's offer to move to city shelters Wednesday, and those encampments were cleared out. It's unclear, though, if the migrants' demands were met. According to Mayor Johnson's office, Denver has served more than 40,000 migrants at a cost of more than $68 million in the last 17 months. And approximately half that cost, $35 million, was spent between December 2023 and March of this year. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Taylor.
So I just think it's interesting, these folks, these encampments, have all these demands, and some of them not even citizens. And I shared with you before how the Columbia University has a history. If you go back and study Saul Alinsky, he's from Chicago. He had a very strong leaning towards a young lady that was called to be a missionary and was going to Wesley there in Chicago University. And he went on the campus and started having lunch with kids. And this young lady decided not to be a missionary, but to be an activist. And you may know Hillary Rodham as Hillary Rodham Clinton. And in 1969, she was the valedictorian of her class, and she wrote her thesis paper for graduation on Saul Alinsky. His book, Rules for Radicals, is got 13 different rules, if you will, how to radicalize and take over a country. And it's very interesting. They have become pretty much the DNC playbook. If you go look, also the Rules for Radical inside the cover of the book, he dedicated the book to Lucifer. He says the first successful revolutionist, that his revolt against heaven when he took 1/3 of the angels with him. So it's interesting as you see that. And you see all this stuff and all these people that were under the allure of this kind of mentality. People that dedicate their books and their lives to Satan. And it shows up later in the fruits of their life. But see, we go downtown, and we went downtown today and gave out food and New Testaments and spent time with the people here in Chattanooga. And then our food pantry in Appleton, we've got 2 grocery stores we rent out and give out food. We gave out hundreds of food boxes there, and I was downtown and gave out over 100 bags, one-on-one, to folks living on the streets. Many are veterans. And 3 gentlemen that are down there on wheelchairs. They're missing a limb. And they love this country. And as we feed them and give them hope and give them food, I'm amazed. And the one thing I try to tell all of them is that their need for Christ. And we got to pray with some. And so it was a good day. Hope you guys will pray about that. Because a lot of folks, they need a relationship with God, and they don't understand it. And as you try to share, you try to give out the New Testaments, sometimes you just have to pray and let God do his thing. So don't beat yourself up if you've been faithful and obedient. This is a 96.9 FM. It is the Destiny Media, and you'll be hearing more Christian music played on the air. They're working out the programming as we speak. So I've mixed a few of my faves in here, and this is one of my favorite Toby Mac songs. See what you think. It's Friday, by the way.
Last night put the heavy on me. Woke up and I'm feeling lonely. This world got a way of showing me. Some days it'll lift you up. Some days it'll call you bluff. Man, most of my days I ain't got enough. And all I know is you're my only hope. Woo! When I'm up, when I'm down, when the wolves come around, tell me when my feet hit the ground. I just need you on my darkest day. When I'm losing faith, tell me no, it ain't gon' change. I just need you. Lord, I need you. Yeah, I just need you. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me when I'm beat down, broken. Hold my heart when it's split wide open. Turn raise eyes to my soul protector and break the will of this born defector. 'Cause all I know is you're my only hope. When I'm up, when I'm down, when the wolves come around, when my feet hit the ground, I just need you on my darkest days. When I'm losing faith, no, it ain't gon' change. I just need you. Lord, I need you. Yeah, I just need you. You pull me closer. I come to life when you pull me closer. I come to life when you pull me closer. I come to life when you pull me closer. I come to life. When I'm up, when I'm down, when my feet hit the ground, on my darkest days, no, it ain't gon' change. Oh Lord, I need you. When I'm up, when I'm down, when the wolves come around, when my feet hit the ground. Yeah, I need you. On my darkest days, when I'm losing faith, no, it ain't gon' change. Ain't no way this thing gon' change. It's you. I need, it's you. I need. On my darkest days, when I'm losing faith, I need you. I need, it's you. I need. Every single day, every breath I take, I need you.
This week, people around the world took a moment to reflect on Holocaust remembrance. During a Capitol Hill ceremony, President Biden delivered a speech in which he expressed his concern that just 7 months after October 7th, some Americans have already forgotten who perpetrated the worst act of violence against Jews since the Holocaust.
It was Hamas that brutalized Israelis. It was Hamas who took and continues to hold hostages.
But the president can't have it both ways. At the same time he condemns anti-Semitism, he's withholding the aid Israel needs to rid the world of the Hamas government. America and her allies united to end Adolf Hitler's fascist, anti-Semitic Third Reich. They must do so again to rid the world of Hamas terrorists. From the river to the sea means returning Jews to the ovens of Auschwitz. Palestinians must be liberated from this hate, and the fascist Hamas government pledging genocide against the Jews. No more October 7th. Never again. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane, and until next time, be blessed.
And that's the CBN News, and I think that's a good word. And I don't understand why Biden feels he can withhold aid, but then make a statement like we're still their full-fledged ally. And I think a lot of folks are saying, no, Joe, it's not flying that way. And the interesting thing is that I shared earlier, the New York Post has an article that said that a big chunk of Democrats broke ranks on Biden, and it was led by a New Jersey congressman, and it's saying that they do not agree with the way Biden's handling the ally situation with Israel. More than 24 House Democrats blast Biden holding back Israel military aid and says it emboldens Hamas terrorists. They said this is a terrible, terrible thing for Biden to do, especially at this time in what you want to call the conflict or war, whatever you think this is. More than 24 House Democrats, led by Representative Josh Gothmeier, told National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Friday they were deeply concerned about President Biden's decision to withhold military aid from Israel. Gothmeier, a Democrat from New Jersey, and 25 of his fellow lawmakers wrote a letter to Sullivan, obtained by the Post, that withholding weapons and shipments to Israel only emboldens our mutual enemies, including Hamas, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran's backed proxies. And I think a lot of folks are agreeing. So way to go to have 25 Democrats stand up. And speaking of New York, I've got to tell you, I think the Democrats have got a rising potential person. I'm not saying I would vote for him, but Mayor Adams of New York, he stood for the flag recently. He's made some other strong statements. Now, I know you're going to say, but he's still a liberal, Macil. I know. I'm just telling you. He's the first Democrat with any rank and file that kind of went against Biden and the far-left progressives and said, listen, I am not going to embrace this crazy stuff that's going across the country. He's telling them this is not right. He said he talked about our flag. There should be no other nation's flag flown on the flagpoles of our Capitol buildings and our campuses. And he spoke against these Palestinians burning our flags and hanging other flags. He also said he doesn't like the youth being radicalized. Those were his words, not mine. Mayor Adams, the mayor of New York, talked about how these foreign influencers were trying to influence our young people. And he even mentioned that there's findings that up to 60% of those in the audience are not students. Okay? So it's interesting for a Democratic mayor to make these strong statements. And then after he makes them, you start seeing the capitulation of other Democrats. And, of course, Biden swinging a little bit away then from being so pro-Palestine. Interesting stuff. As we move forward, I think we're all getting amazed because the one thing I think Mayor Adams brought to me and my hope is that there's people out there that believe in this country. And as we talk about our country and how much we love our country, I'm reminded of Blake Shelton. It's Friday. I've played a little music on my show, and here's another. Because I believe this is God's country.
Outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country. We pray for rain.
Straight Arrow News is the
Because it brings a grain and a little bit of money. We put it back in a plate. I guess that's why they call it God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a been found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. We turn the dirt and work until the week's done. We take a break and break bread on Sunday, then do it all again, 'cause we're proud to be from God. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a been found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. I don't care what my headstone reads or what kind of pine wood box I end up in. When it's my time, lay me 6 feet deep in God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized
The school board in Shenandoah, Virginia, has voted to restore Confederate names for 2 schools it renamed 4 years ago in the wake of George Floyd's death and the Black Lives Matter protests. In 2020, the school board voted to change the names of Stonewall Jackson High School and Ashby Lee Elementary School to Mountain View High School and Honey Run Elementary School. On Thursday, the board held a public meeting to gather input from constituents after the Coalition for Better Schools asked the board in April to consider restoring the Confederate names, saying they hold historical significance and have been integral parts of our community for many years. The group said it conducted a survey of Shenandoah citizens and found that 91.3% expressed desire to revert the names to the original names. Reports say attendees at the school board meeting were evenly split for and against the change.
Why are we here tonight? To go back to a time in history that was very cruel, where hatred and racism continued throughout this county and throughout the United States.
But I believe Shenandoah County would vote overwhelmingly in favor of restoring the names.
Those against reverting the Confederate names said they wanted inclusive names for the students who attend the schools. And those in favor were reportedly mostly upset with how the board went about changing the school names in 2020, saying it was done quickly and without public input. All 6 seats of the board are now held by different people than 2020, CNN reports. Board member Gloria Carlinio said the 2020 school board ignored the people they represented when they made the change. According to school board documents, it costs more than $300,000 to implement the school name changes. After a 5 hours long meeting, the Shenandoah School Board voted 5-1 to revert the school names back to Stonewall Jackson High School and Ashby Lee Elementary School. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Taylor. If you want more stories.
So what do you think, America? Do you have a problem with them taking and reverting back and saying, hey, we're not gonna discount the history? You got folks on different sides of those issues, and I can understand that. Well, it's Friday, and we've gone through a couple of the different news cycles here. One couple of things that popped up I just thought I'd tell you is something that's just been confirmed. Political hitman Jack Smith admits to violating the same law as January 6 defendants who were sent to prison for years. This is interesting. In August 2022, President Trump reported that he believed the FBI stole his will during the FBI-endorsed raid on Mar-a-Lago. The FBI also stole 1,800 other items that were not documents that belonged to President Trump. This was not lawful or necessary. It's also widely known at this point that Joe Biden, who ordered the FBI to access Trump's documents at Mar-a-Lago and President Trump's personal belongings. On page 2 and 3 of the ruling, Judge Cannon revealed that it was Joe Biden who ordered the FBI access to Mar-a-Lago documents at President Trump's personal belongings. Okay, and so you could go look at this. If you want to go to the Gateway Pundit, it actually has the memos and the authorization. It's very, very sad that this has been proven. So in September 2022, Joe Hoff the Gateway Pundit reported that Chris Wray, FBI, created a fake crime scene at Trump's home by adding their own documents to the scene and doctoring up the evidence to make it look bad for the people. The FBI created the crime scene, inserted their own documents, and then photoshopped the documents. At the bottom of the photo provided to the court, there is a number 2A indicating this was a crime scene photo, as well as the type of tape measure across the bottom of the photo. The corrupt FBI threw the photos on the floor themselves. They staged this. We know this because the containers were right next door, and the FBI wanted to take a picture of the documents. They would have been placed on a table, showing them as a sacred or scattered across the floor, is to indicate they were found this way, and as if Donald Trump, put them loosely in a bathroom and a side room off a bedroom. Interesting. So, Julie Kelly reported on X that an entire pallet full of boxes that was held by GSA was later dumped at Mar-a-Lago. These boxes contained the papers with classified markings. And so, do you believe that they would set up Donald Trump? Of course they would. I don't have a problem believing this at all. It's just disappointing. Zelensky dismisses head of state guard after an alleged assassination attempt against him, reportedly foiled. 2 Ukrainian colonels have been arrested. So this is what started happening to Hitler at the end of his regime, if you will. People started turning on him, and he had many assassination attempts. You remember the movie Valkyrie? That talked about that kind of issue and those kind of things, and I think it's something that would be interesting to see if it continues that way. Well, if you are into internet dating, you might want to take a listen to this.
The dating world is evolving. It used to be you had to meet people in person. Then came the internet, and you could meet people virtually. And now comes artificial intelligence, where your AI concierge could soon do it all for you. Your AI bot could meet other AI bots on your behalf to find your best match. That's according to Bumble's founder.
There is a world where your dating concierge could go and date for you with other dating concierge. No, truly. And then you don't have to talk to 600 people. It will go scan all of San Francisco for you and say, these are the 3 people you really ought to meet.
Bumble dominates in the dating app space, being the second most downloaded behind Tinder. But dating apps across the board have seen a significant drop in stock since the pandemic. Bumble's shares are down 80% compared to 2021. Dating apps are reinventing the space to attract more people because right now 80% of app users say they often feel emotionally, mentally, or physically exhausted by dating apps. That's according to a new Forbes survey. To address this app fatigue, Bumble is rolling out a new plan. Since its origin in 2014, Bumble's biggest difference from its competitors was allowing women to make the first move and send the first message, which means men wanting to message women had to wait for a woman to show interest first. Now, that's changed, and anyone can start up the conversation. Bumble is also making that part of the process easier for its users, including AI-generated messages to send new matches. For now, the AI-generated concierge is just a concept, but an example of what the future of Bumble could soon look like. At the same Bloomberg summit, Bumble's founder went on about the impacts AI could have in the industry. And while the idea of an AI concierge doing the work for you may seem like it's removing human interaction on an app made for human interaction, the founder says this is just the beginning of using artificial intelligence to bring more people together.
We will not be a dating app in a few years. Dating will be a component, but we will be a true human connection platform. This is where you will meet anyone that you want to meet. A hiking buddy, a mahjong buddy, whatever you're looking for. But our focus with AI is to help create more healthy and equitable relationships.
I'm Kara Rucker. For more stories like this, visit san.com or download the Straight Arrow News app.
I sat in church the other day, man, how I felt convicted. Cause the only thing on my mind is how I wish that I was out there fishing. I'd rather been on the water with a cold one in my hand, watching that bobber while working on my tan. But I guess that wasn't God's plan. Later that evening, a guy cut me off in traffic and flipped me the bird. So I cut him on myself and exchanged me a couple words. I know, but God's still working on me. I'm a hell of a lot better, but not where I need to be. I say God's still working on me. I always pull hard, but know that he'll never leave. I'm a filthy no good sinner saved by grace. I like a little bit of worship and some joy straight. I was blind, but now I see that God's still working on me. Still working on me. I never said I'm perfect, and I'm sorry that I'll never be. But I'm a God-fearing man, and I know who it is God wants me to be. So I try to do better each
pushing every single day, but it seems like the devil always gets in the way. But I mean, what can I say? God willing, tomorrow is another day. God's still working on me. I'm a hell out there.